Check, check, check. All right. It is working. I believe we are good to go. What's going on? Walk and talk with me. What's up, bro? Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, the first live stream of the off season. Let's get into it, shall we? Shall we? How's everyone doing tonight, huh? You doing good? Chat, we got a lot to talk about. A lot happened within the last, 15 minutes. A lot happened in the last 15 minutes, actually. More than I would probably like to admit. There's a lot of stuff going on. What's up, Ethan? What is up, everybody? What's up, Yo Gaming? What's up, Jack? Walk and talk with me. Extend Devers, yes. Trade for Diamonds outfielder Thomas. There are a lot of different outfielders we could look at. I think they are in talks with the Diamondbacks, so I wouldn't be surprised. What's up, Dell? Trade for Reds reliever Diaz and see if we can make a deal for Marlins starting pitcher Cabrera or Lopez. I'd be more inclined to get Lopez. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit more, but it would be pretty nice to get Cabrera here too. In my opinion, though, if we're going to add some depth via trade into our rotation, I'd want it to be certified, like legitimate depth into our rotation, right? Like guys who are proven already. I love getting these new guys, these young guys under control, guys who have potential. My problem with it is right now we've got a lot of guys in this rotation who have a lot of talent, a lot of potential, but just haven't reached it there. We need someone to kind of marry the two, right? We've got this sort of grizzled vet who's trying to return and have a redemption tour in Chris Sale. Then we've got kind of a gap to Bayo, Whitlock, and then at the end there you've got Pivetta, which is just Pivetta. So, my opinion, I would go with Lopez over Cabrera, but yeah, you're right. It would be nice. Jack, did I say hello? Hello, Jack. Stress Xander's going to leave. We are going to talk about that because we had some interesting stuff come to light right before we went live here, actually. We're going to talk about it in a second. Dell, I'm pretty sure I said what's up, but if I did not, what's up? What's going on, Chris? I know it's early days, but are you pleased with the offseason so far? In my opinion, it's so hard to say yes or no to whether or not I'm pleased with the offseason moves so far because there really haven't been any, right? The two major ones probably would be signing that deal with Rob Refsnyder to get out of arbitration, right? You've got Paxton who opted in, and you've got, what's up, David? Hello, Dad. Everyone say hello to my dad, John. So we haven't really seen the Red Sox make any notable moves. We've seen them make good moves, sure, but we haven't seen them make notable moves, and so I can't really make a judgment on this offseason yet. I know other people have started to, and we could talk about that too, whether or not you think this offseason is going well within what we've done. What? It went out live on the 10th. Today's the 16th, so it's only been about a week since the offseason truly started. So we'll kind of see where we go from here, but I'm curious. Are you guys, do you have any opinions yet? I don't know. Why aren't there enough mustaches in Major League Baseball? I don't know. There was the late 80s perfect mustaches in baseball. Need to get it back. Hopefully get a full season out of Sale this year. Yeah, I would love a full season out of Sale this year. I think I think we could. I don't think we're going to get 2018, 2017, 2019 before he got injured, Chris Sale, right? But I think we could get a decent Chris Sale. Maybe not a 1, but maybe a 2 type pitcher if he stays healthy enough. But again, there's so much time between now and spring training that until we see it, I'm gonna have to just not assume that he's going to be on this team going into 2023 because that's just how it's been the last 3 years basically since you got hurt in 2019, 2020, 21, and 22. He really wasn't around. So it's one of those things where you just have to go into 2023 at this point, assuming Chris Sale is not going to be there. Off season super slow right now. Yeah, this season's going to be It's going to be relatively slow because last year we got, and I kind of love the idea last year. I didn't love the idea of lockout, not knowing when baseball is going to be, but I love the fact that once the lockout ended, it was like a frenzy to get everyone signed, right? It was what, within like 2 weeks, all the big names came off the board. I would love if baseball had a period like that where, say, this free agent signing period was like a month and a half and everyone had to make decisions then. I think it'd be a ton of fun to watch because last year truly was. I remember putting out content. It was like every single day something was happening. And obviously the Red Sox didn't do a whole lot during that period, but it was still exciting to see. Jesse Winker could be a stud. Yeah, Jesse Winker could be fairly decent. I'm a little concerned that he is sort of a product, or he was sort of a product of Great American Ballpark, which is a notorious Cincinnati field. So I'd be a little bit, a notorious home run hitting field. So I'd be a little bit nervous bringing him here, but Fenway Park's notably a fairly home run decent ballpark, especially for righties. It's a little bit more difficult for lefties, but if they can push the ball the other way, then it's perfect. I don't really know Jesse Winker's game well enough to tell you that he would work really well at Fenway, but I'd be willing to take a chance on him. I wouldn't make that our big move for the outfield, but I'd be willing to take a chance on him. Oh, true. Yeah, qualifying offers we could talk about, sure. Um, in terms of, I mean, obviously Xander was always going to get one, and I think it was the right move at the time to give Nate Eovaldi the qualifying offer. I think when you break it down monetarily, you break it down, if the Red Sox truly do want to get him back, attaching a qualifying offer to a player who is injured, who has a lot of question marks surrounding him, just makes his market even smaller. So that could have been sort of a chess piece type move where they're like, look, we're going to put the qualifying offer on your head, knowing that you aren't going to take it, to sort of limit your options and give us a more advantage, give us a bigger advantage when talking to you in contract negotiations. So there could have been some sort of play with that. I think the Red Sox, if they want Michael Wacha back, can get Michael Wacha back if they truly want to. So we'll see kind of how that goes as well. But yeah, I didn't hate any of the qualifying offers or anything. Where are we? Oh, Light Standard. Thank you for that. I believe, yep, I have it up right now. For those of you who do not know, Will Venable has left the organization to become the Texas associate manager, which is essentially just the second in command for the Texas Rangers. We kind of, I'm not going to say I'm not surprised by this news with Will Venable, but I will say that I'm a little bit surprised that he took this new job. I think that he'd been interviewing, or he'd been interviewed by like 10 teams for their managerial job between this year and last year. So I'm not shocked that he's gone. I could see Jason Varitek stepping into the role of bench coach. I think that's just a natural progression. That's who I would assume is going into that role. Maybe they go outside the organization, grab a sort of, I would love to see a hitting focus type coach come in and be that bench coach, because we had a real problem with our approach when hitting last year. So I could see that kind of being in effect. It's interesting. I never loved Will Venable. I always thought he was a decent coach. I'm not heartbroken he's gone. Good for him. Hopefully he's making more money. Obviously he is if he left. So yeah, I don't hate this. I don't love it. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do you have questions about it? Anything like that? Let me know. Yeah, I don't, I don't love it. I don't hate it either. I'm kind of dead in the middle with this. I guess it just sort of depends on how they go about fixing the hole, right? If they just bump up Jason Varitek, get another guy in here to be whatever Jason Varitek was, which was essentially analyzing pitchers, catchers, all that stuff, and giving guys information if they want it, which was, from what I understand, his role. So if they can switch that up and figure out someone else to put in there, he is really valuable doing that. So I don't know. We'll see kind of where Jason Varitek ends up in all this, and I guess we're going to have to wait and see how the Red Sox want to fill that hole. I can't imagine it's an easy position to fill, considering the time and energy it's going to take without being a manager's salary, so we'll kind of see. Michael Brantley has been good his entire career. Do you think the Red Sox could pick him up? I think Johnny is a huge fan of Michael Brantley. I wouldn't be surprised if they're at least talking to him. The problem with Michael Brantley is a lot like JD Martinez. He's getting older. The outfield productiveness isn't what it used to be. He's a great contact hitter. He's not going to bring a ton of power to the table. Maybe a decent leadoff hitter, but I don't think he's going to be a superstar stud in our lineup anymore at his age. So I don't know how well or how in depth the Red Sox will look into Michael Brantley. I don't know if he's a great fit. Johnny will have you thinking otherwise, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't think that he would be a fantastic fit, though. I read an article about the Sox. Wait, hold on. The slowness is probably due to the underwhelming free agent class. Front offices are distracted by the Rule 5 process. Yeah, I mean, the baseball's off season is usually fairly slow, mostly because when you think about it, right, you got basically from November to opening day to sign free agents, and a lot of guys, specifically bigger named guys, are going to wait and take their time, field a ton of offers, talk to a ton of teams. Maybe they let other smaller players come off the board first, like specifically with shortstop this year. I think they're all going to sign sort of back to back to back to back to back, like sort of right. Say the Red Sox re-sign Xander Bogaerts, that we're going to get to in a second. There is news on that front. I think that other teams will start knocking other shortstops off the board, right? So say like the Orioles want Xander number one, Trey 2, Correa 3, Swanson 4. Well, if Xander's off the board, then they're going to go all in on their number 2 guy, kind of like that. So I could see the shortstop market specifically being really fast this year. But in total, one, yeah, you're right. The MLB free agent class isn't the strongest it's ever been. They've got the Rule 5 right now. Teams are trying to figure out who they want to save, who they don't want to save. And you just have so much time in MLB free agency to sort of go through and look at all your options that it makes sense it's such a slow period of the year. Read an article about the trade Sox could make for a starting pitcher. Name mentioned was Urias of the Dodgers. Great, offer them Brazier. If the Red Sox could get Julio Urias from the Dodgers for Ryan Brazier, please do. That is going to be absolutely impossible. But that would be awesome. Can I talk about a realistic starting nine? David, what do you mean by that? Like, who do I want as a starting nine come, what is it, March 31st or something? Is that what you mean, or do you just mean? I think I mean that's got to be what you mean, right? Let me know. Waka over Evaldi. I think this is really tough. I mean, we've gone back and forth in this. I've personally gone back and forth on this like 100 times. 100 times I've thought whether Waka or Evaldi would be a better fit for the Red Sox. I think they both serve the exact same role. I think it's just a matter of years at this point. I don't really think it's a matter of actual dollars, because Waka's probably going to be, my guess, max 13 mil a year, and Evaldi's going to be max 18, 19 mil a year. So it's not a huge difference. Obviously it is in millions, but in terms of overall baseball payroll, it's not a ton. So I think it's going to come down to years, who they can get on a more flexible is probably the best word I would use, contract situation. So say Michael Wacha wants 5 years and Nate Eovaldi wants 3, but he's a little bit more money. You take the Nate Eovaldi deal, mostly because you are kind of have that flexibility to be like, okay, he didn't work out year 1 and 2, has a good year 3, and now we move on, sort of thing, as opposed to being locked into Michael Wacha for 5 years. So I think the Michael Wacha, Nate Eovaldi thing's probably going to come down to years, or one of them might just not want to be in the Red Sox organization right now. I could see one or both of them going to the Texas Rangers, who have openly said that that is their target this offseason, is starting pitching. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to years. Yo Gamer 45 said, would love if we could trade for Tyler Glasnow. I think we would all love if we could trade for Tyler Glasnow. There aren't a ton of trades. The Rays are kind of, I mean, all of baseball is kind of like this, where it's really any sport really is you try not to trade within division, because all you're doing is you're kind of evening yourselves out. You're not giving yourselves an advantage over anyone unless you truly win the deal. You're sort of just swapping players. So I think it'd be really hard to get Tyler Glasnow from the Tampa Bay Rays without making the Rays a better opponent, and that's not what we want to do at the end of the day. Excuse me. As much as I'd love Tyler Glasnow on the Red Sox, I just don't think it's going to happen with the way the Rays operate. Okay, so chat. I guess the excuse me, little behind the scenes YouTube here. I guess part of the new like change up on YouTube is that I have to start running some midstream ads. So there may be an ad or two in here, just to let you know. Yeah, Teoscar coming out. Teoscar coming off the board. Renfroe is still on the market. I don't know if Heimblum does that. I mean, it'd be great if he brought him back. I think that'd be absolutely fantastic. But I don't think that Heimblum admits that mistake. I really don't. I'd be shocked if he did. Yeah, I don't understand the Brazier stuff that happened yesterday with him wanting or with the Red Sox letting Taylor Ward sort of be out there in the Rule 5 draft as opposed to just dropping a guy like Ryan Brazier, who I cannot believe is still on this Red Sox roster. I have no answers for you. I have no idea why he's still here. I don't know. Kind of random, but the Astros just signed Austin Davis. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that they signed him to a minor league deal. I could see him making an appearance for the Astros at some point this year. I don't know. It was such a weird, sort of drop off when we dropped him. We DFA'd him. I don't think anyone really expected it. I thought there was still more in the tank with Austin Davis. They saw something we didn't. Hopefully they're right. Don't forget the draft isn't in the offseason like other sports, which slows down the offseason. A lot of the way baseball runs is sort of backwards. It's really interesting, but you're right. That does, because there isn't anything to truly look forward to. You just have to hope and pray that something happens. Yankees talking to Bogaerts is unnatural. Yeah, I saw that and just sort of exited out of Twitter. I was good. Yeah, I'm good. I would be shocked if Xander did that. He's so loyal to the fan base and stuff like that even if he does leave, I don't think it'll be to the New York Yankees. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think so. I want to see Sox get Haniger. I don't think he's going to be too expensive, and he's a good enough outfielder to use a rotating DH. Yeah, Haniger, Mancini. There was one more who we had talked about who would be kind of the perfect fit to what Alex Cora wants to run this DH position like, right? Haniger would take most of the ABs, but you could also rotate him into the outfield and use the DH position as sort of a rotating DH position, get guys off their feet, allow them to sort of be on the field while not actually being on the field and lower their injury risk. So, I mean, yeah, it would work perfectly. I think you're right. I don't think it would be super expensive either. So I have Haniger in my top 5 wants for the Red Sox off season. And I would be super excited if they signed him. I haven't heard anything about them being in. I actually haven't heard anything about Haniger being in talks with anybody. So I have no idea what his market's looking like. You have to assume he's got at least a couple of suitors. Obviously, the Mariners may want to bring him back, so you can add them to the list. So yeah, I haven't heard much about him, but I agree. I think that Haniger would be a great addition to this Red Sox team. David, so you want what a realistic starting 9 in 2023 looks like? Obviously Devers third base, Story shortstop, Casas at first base. I think opening day, if healthy, I think Sale goes. Um, See, this is a problem. There's just so many question marks. My ideal world is having Xander at shortstop, but I don't know. Kike in center, Verdugo in left, and I'm gonna put Brian Reynolds in right. I'm gonna do something crazy and put Brian Reynolds in right. Fireheim Bloom ASAP? No, not yet. Any chance we sign Conforto, trade for Reynolds, and trade Verdugo for pitching? I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be shocked if Verdugo gets traded. I think the Red Sox will check in on Conforto, but one of the things going into 2023 that I hope they really address is the question marks that surround this team, right? Obviously there are question marks this offseason, but even going into last season, there were so many question marks that just simply went unanswered. You're talking any contract extensions. I don't think a single one of them got done last offseason. You're talking pitching staff, bullpen. There was a question mark about who's going to start first base, who's going to do all this and that. It just seemed as though there wasn't any real clear path. There were a ton of question marks surrounding him. So I don't know. Um, Yeah, I don't know if Conforto is the answer that we're looking for in terms of no question marks. Trade for Reynolds. I would love to get Reynolds here. He's going to be expensive, though. Maybe Verdugo's a part of that trade? Possibly. Could Pavetta, Dahlbeck, and Downs net us an upper tier player? No. No. They can net us maybe the three of them combined might get you a mid upper tier player, but you're not talking upper echelon type player now. What mid-tier prospects do I see us trading? I'm going to take a look. Oh, here, Chad, I figured this out too, so we can look at it together. Boom, research, right? So now I can go into here, and we can take a look together. So obviously not. I don't think any of these guys are being traded. I would say once we get to here, honestly, I would say even once we get to like 11, I don't think any of these top 10 really are on the board to get traded. Maybe some of these new guys like Mikey Romero and Roman Anthony, maybe Edinson Paulino too. But once you get here, I think it's just open market. I think that these guys are going to get shopped a lot. The Connor Wongs, Thaddeus Ward, him not being selected for the 40-man, in my opinion, seems like the Red Sox want to get a deal done before that draft day on December 12th. I think, I always mess up this guy's name, but Nathan Hickey could be a guy on the board. Nico Cavadas I could see move in. Siebold, Downs I would love to see go. Armand, I think, stays at least for a little bit. I think Zach Kelly's pretty safe. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with mid-tier prospects. I say we could get a decent amount of them going. If we're trading for a top-end starter, call Cleveland and get Bieber. Yeah, that's another guy that's going to cost, the whole block. It's going to cost everything to get Bieber. But if the Red Sox want to make a legitimate splash, it's not impossible. I would have protected Ward over Hamilton. Like I said, I think the idea behind Ward over Hamilton or Hamilton over Ward was either the Red Sox have an idea of where they are going to send Thaddeus Ward, or they don't think anyone's going to pick him up because of injury concerns. Only thing I could think of is that they may be able to trade Brazier. No one would want him though. I'm at a loss for him sticking. Yeah, I don't know if he's much of a trade value, to be honest with you. I'd be shocked if they were able to put it. Maybe they throw him into just sort of icing on the cake, but I don't think he's gonna be the main part of a deal. I was surprised that Evaldi did not take the QO. What's up, Eric? No, I honestly was too. I thought he was going to take the qualifying offer and use it as sort of a prove it year, get a little bump up in salary and sort of call it, that sort of year that he's going to try and figure it out. But I don't know. I don't know why he didn't take it. Maybe there's something behind the scenes that we don't know. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to go as fast as I can through these. What do you think about trying to get Brandon Drury? I wouldn't hate it. I think the Red Sox should make a bigger splash in terms of players. I have a little bit of a fear, like Jesse Winker, that he may be a product of the environment at Great American Ballpark, the Cincinnati Ballpark, which is a notorious home run hitting place. I don't love the Brandon Drury stuff, but I wouldn't hate him coming here either. Could we get Judge and Yoshida? We could move Story to shortstop. I mean, we could, but you're spending way more money than you'd want if you would just re-sign Xander and extend Devers. Johnny wants Brantley so bad. Setup man in the Sox bullpen, Joe Jimenez. I thought I saw Joe Jimenez move. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I would like Michael Fulmer would be a good setup man. I think you could even we have decent setup men already in the Red Sox bullpen, and Schreiber and Barnes' second half was fantastic. So maybe they sort of focus on a closer role as opposed to just a straight setup man. I don't know. But yeah, Joe Jimenez may be a pretty decent option. What's up, Clip? Need pitching, and more pitching. We always will score runs. Maybe. Would have loved to have seen Arenado come over and Rafi sign his DH. That would be crazy. That would have been insane. But he loves St. Louis. He's getting paid a pretty decent amount. I wasn't shocked when he opted in. Brian Reynolds, you mentioned him in a recent video as a long shot. Maybe time to prove you're right. Yeah. Okay, and then TJ right below says Reynolds' defense is way down this year. Probably made him a little bit cheaper. Yeah, he's probably a little bit cheaper, but I don't think he's going to be like, we're going to trade three Bobby Dahlbeck, Duran, and Downs to go get him, right? I think it's going to take a pretty decent tier of prospects to get him, regardless of his defensive down year, because I just think that potential is there. He's a great leadoff hitter. If X is gone, what if we got Trey, since you could technically shift him to center field when Meyer's ready? Yeah, I wouldn't hate Trey. I mean, he's definitely a pretty decent option. But you guys know my stance. I'm Xander all the way. I know you have Xander. I love Xander, so. Love your channel. Check in daily. Thanks, Tony. I think that Japanese outfielder, forgot his name, could be a good option right field. Yeah, I for some reason it's so difficult for me to, and not that it's so difficult for me to remember who's coming over from Japan, because it seems like every year there's 2 or 3 guys and only one big one that ends up getting signed. This year it seems like it's Senga, but we'll kind of see where that lands. There is another guy, I forget his name. We can look it up if you want. What's up? Yeah, Eamon. See, I almost called you Iman. So used to that. Eamon. What's up, Eamon? Seabold got to be traded before all his value is gone. I would imagine Seabold's gone. Yeah, I would imagine he's pretty quick to be gone. Tim LeCastro. I don't think we go get Tim LeCastro, Jacob. The reason for that is because we put David Hamilton on the 40-man. We have Jaron Duran if he sticks around, right? So we've got speed options. Franchi Cordero still on the 40-man. So if we want to have some speed, there's that. And then I think Rob Refsnyder was brought back to be that 4th outfielder. So, and then when you're talking infield, you've got Christian Arroyo. So I don't think there's really a spot for Tim LeCastro on this team. Ward, Dahlbeck, Downs for Brian Reynolds. I would assume you may have to switch out Downs with a little bit higher of a prospect, maybe Benellis, something like that, to get Brian Reynolds. So I think you're fairly close. Do you think we will try and be cute again with a bunch of 1-year plugins, or go get MLB players with great track records? I mean, we never really... The only 1-year contracts we handed out last year were to pitchers, and it makes a lot of sense that you hand out 1-year deal to pitchers, especially bullpen arms who are notoriously unreliable. But I think, if you break that down and ask, are you going for 1-year deals? Are you going for longer term deals? It depends on the location you're looking at. I think they still stick to shorter term deals on the pitching side, but I think they start to slowly hand out some longer term contracts to guys they truly think will make this organization better in position spots. More likely to get Rodon or re-sign Bogey. I think we're more likely to re-sign Bogey. I think there's more of a precedent for that as opposed to Rodon. Yeah. I think there's a possibility we get both. I don't think the track record of Chaim Bloom points to him being able to spend that much money. So I don't know. It's so hard to try and predict these things. I'm trying to say yes or no, but it's like I have no idea what this Red Sox offseason is going to look like. Any blockbuster would include Marcelo Meyer? No, I don't think so. I think you could still have a blockbuster that includes guys like Nick York, Rafaela. You could talk about Maeda. You could do Verdugo. There are a lot of big name guys who I think people would be shocked if the Red Sox traded away. Story doesn't have the best arm to play shortstop. Yeah, I even if we lose Xander, I don't think the Red Sox will move Story over long-term to shortstop. Maybe just 1 year, maybe even 2 years, but I don't think it's a long-term solution. Do you think a Corbin Carroll is a possibility? I think a Corbin Carroll is a possibility, but it's going to be extremely costly. So it just depends on how much the Red Sox want to put their sort of chips on the table and be like, we are all in going forward, as opposed to we want to see how this young core develops. So, I mean, is it possible? Yeah, I don't think it's likely. Thoughts on Houck? When they said he was going to be stretched out to be a starting pitcher, I don't think he's actually going to end up as a starting pitcher. I think he ends up in a bullpen role, possibly even closer, depending on how the Red Sox utilize free agents and trades this offseason. But I love Tanner Houck. I think there's a ton of potential there in his slider specifically, but he's got a ton of movement on his sinker. I think those two pitches alone make him a fairly deadly bullpen arm. Plus, having him stretched out to be a starter at worst case scenario isn't a bad idea either. It's much easier to go from starter to reliever than reliever to starter on a sort of dime, right? I have a feeling 3 or 4 of our top 10 prospects will be traded before spring. That'd be crazy. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Read an article on how the Sox need to draw a new line in the sand as to who can be a Red Sox level talent wise. Any thoughts on that? Sorry, I'm reading it again. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? We're prestigious team in baseball. So it makes sense that you want the best of the best, but at the same time too, you have to be able to sign those guys like a John Schreiber, like a Garrett Whitlock, right? Like a Rob Refsnyder, who provide you depth and even excel in their position when no one else saw that. And that's part of what makes you a great organization. So in my opinion, it's not entirely we can only have elite players here in Boston. It's we are the Boston Red Sox, so we are going to make you elite. That's sort of where I look at the Boston Red Sox and their elite status in baseball and why they're so coveted when it comes to sort of teams in America, right? It's that sort of we make good players great and great players excellent, right? So that's sort of where I'm at. I don't know if there's a line in the sand to be drawn. I think we just need to work on being developmental. How do I think Schreiber will use in the pen next year? I think he ends up as a setup man. I think he's sort of in the same role. I would assume they're trying really hard not to give him the workload that they gave him this year, I would assume, because he sort of broke down towards the end of the year. But him in that 8th inning role going into, say, Alexis Diaz or Scott Barlow or, maybe something crazy like a David Bednar, right? That would be a pretty deadly combination. If X doesn't come back, would you want a Segura or would you want a bigger name like Correa or Swanson? I think I would go with a smaller shortstop just to bridge the gap, right? Because now you have to, if you lose Xander, now you really have to figure out Devers. You truly do. And to sign a big name shortstop like Correa or Trey Turner or Dansby on top of having to also sign Devers while he's mad at your organization, probably not exactly fantastic. So I would assume they would go with the Segura type just to bridge the gap between Segura and Mayer. Hey, what's up, Joseph? Just found out about Nathan. Yeah, I don't know if Rafael gets included with Reynolds. Does Jaren Rand have one more opportunity this year to prove himself? I hope. Got many of his rookie cards. I don't think he gets another year now. Unfortunately, Derek. I think they move him this offseason. What's going on with you, Eamon? What's going on with you? I'm good, man. I'm chilling. A switch hitter like Reynolds could really balance a lineup, like 4 lefties, 4 righties, and 1 switch. Yeah, it'd be perfect, Yoshida is the other Japanese player, big name player being posted. Thank you, Haunted. Yeah, I always forget the name. I'm so bad with names. Sign Rodon or trade for Corbin in Milwaukee. I think signing Rodon's more realistic because you're just giving up money, right? Like you're just giving up money at the end of the day. So I could see Rodon as a more realistic option than Corbin. Although, wouldn't it be fantastic if Corbin got to talk on Red Sea Radio about Corbin? I'd love that. I don't think anyone else would love that, but I'd love that. Bring back Renfroe, maybe. But Renfroe's not a long-term solution. Plus, you can't imagine he's got great relationships with the front office after they traded him away after having a fantastic year. So, I don't know. Plus, on top of that, too, that's the front office admitting they made a mistake, and the Red Sox notoriously do not do that, so we'll see. Do we have a good farm? Yeah, we're number 11th in MLB baseball right now, which is really, really good. Extend Devers, Casas, first base, Rafael in center field, trade for Thomas from the Diamondbacks, trade for Diaz, yeah, there's a lot going on there. Worst case scenario, if we lose Xander, which of the other big name free agent shortstop would you like to see the most? I don't know, honestly. One of the three other big name shortstops, I'd go Trey Turner. I think Trey's a 5-tool player. 4-tool. He's not a great defender. 4-tool player that could be a fantastic addition to this Red Sox team, but I mean, you're gonna end up paying way more, more than likely. I mean, not way more. It's probably $4 or $5 million more a year for Trey Turner than you would for Xander. So I don't know. What's the Xander news? Oh, right. Let's talk about that, chat. Where are we? All right, so here is the news that came out right before we started this, and that is that Sam Kennedy, in an interview, said that the Red Sox have made 2 new offers to Xander Bogaerts since the end of the season, and this is supposed to say 1. It says Neons, but it says 1 to Rafi Devers. He also expressed regret that the Red Sox weren't more proactive, engaging Betts in extension talks early in his career. So you're seeing a lot of, which is interesting because, again, the Red Sox never admit fault. So for them to come out and say something like this, and obviously I don't have the exact quote because the Boston Globe is ridiculous. I can't click on articles without being subscribed, which is absurd. It's the internet. So in my opinion, that's a really good step that the Red Sox are admitting they did not handle the Betts extension talks well. They have yet to say that, hey, we screwed up with Xander. Let me fix that either. So that's something to keep an eye on. But the fact that the Red Sox are making 2 new offers to Xander since the end of the season and 1 to Rafi, which we already knew about. We did know about the Rafael Devers one. We made a video about it. We talked about it. So we did know that one was out there, but the 2 new offers to Xander are interesting. It sort of depends on what those offers are, but in my opinion, this is good news. It means they legitimately are trying to get him back. Again, it depends on what those offers are. If they were, hey, one of your new offers is instead of we're going to add $30 million onto your current one, we're going to add 35, right? That could be the situation. I don't think it is. I think they know what sort of PR problem they're going to run into if they can't re-sign Xander and then lose Devers because Devers is so upset that they let go of 2 generational talents. I just think from a business standpoint, the fact that the Red Sox made 2 new offers to Xander since the end of the season is a good sign. But that's the news that came out right before we got on here, was the fact that Xander has had talks with the Red Sox and it's 2 offers. But at the same time, too, I saw today that the Phillies are the current suitors for Xander. So I have no idea. I like Yoshida from Japan or Neil from the Cards trade. Yeah. Do not want to trade top 10 unless getting a top of the line starter. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Nick. Thoughts on Kenley Jansen for us? I would tend to stay away a little bit from Kenley Jansen only because of his age. And yes, he did have the most saves, and I believe it was all of baseball last year, wasn't it? It was a lot. It was like, yeah, I think it was all of baseball. It was either all baseball or all of the NL. I don't know how long. You know, I don't know how long he is going to be successful in the major league. So I'm a little iffy on that. If you lose Xander, I have zero faith in the front office getting it done with Rafi. I'm pretty much in the same boat, Trey. I would be kind of right there. Has it been shared what Devers wants for an extension? I know Devers wants somewhere near 10 years, $300 million. That's sort of where he's looking for. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know it's around that area, so it's probably somewhere around there. I've also heard that the big deal with Rafi is years. It's not monetary value, it's years. So that could be something to look at too. Many of us expected Duran to impact us like Ellsbury did. I'm telling you, go back to their terrible quality, by the way. I finally figured out the quality about halfway through the season last year. But go back and check out my season predictions. Quite literally, I say that I think Jarren Duran's going to pop out this year. He looked great in spring training. He just simply was never able to put it together. I think he just needs a change of scenery. I think he can still be a productive player. Maybe not the all-star that I thought he could possibly be in the future. But right now, I think, moving Jarren Duran is what's best for this organization and what's best for Jarren Duran, too. Red Sox equal no Corbin's club. We're only allowed to have one. It would throw me off a ton. It would throw me. It's always weird. Like when I'm playing like MLB The Show, I've never had a player that has the same name as me, so it'll be weird. I would love it, but it would be weird. I like your suggestion on Lopez from Miami. Yeah, I like that one too a lot, actually. I think that could be a great one. If I'm Devers, I'm not signing an extension. He'll get more money if he goes to free agency from us or anybody else. Possibly, yeah. I mean, that's the thought process between everyone, but there's other thought processes to go through when you're looking at an extension, right? That's why the Braves have been so successful. It's not because they're giving them the most money possible. It's because they're saying, hey, look, you like our staff, you like our fans, you like our location, you like this club. Here's what we think we can do with you on our team. Do you believe in the mission? And a lot of these guys are saying, yeah, you know what? I do. I'm comfortable here. I can live off of, hey, $10 million less a year than what I'd make on the free agent market. And we're going to see what kind of happens. And I think that's sort of where we're at with Devers. You have to not only sort of tell him that you are going to be making a handsome living, but here's what we're going to do to build around you. Because at the end of the day, to a lot of these guys, right, especially guys who spent their entire lives fighting to be here, it's I want to do something. I want to leave a lasting impact, and what team's going to give me the best ability to do that? And obviously some guys are just like, no, I want the payday. Look at Carlos Correa, right? Carlos Correa to me is a guy who's like, no, I know I'm worth a lot of money. I want my payday. I don't really care where I go. So I don't know. You're going to have to figure that out with Devers, and I think you can. Can you see Devers signing with the Yankees as a free agent? God, I hope not. After Xander goes to the Yankees, do you have a mental health professional on speed dial? We're going to have the darkest YouTube video of all time if Xander Bogaerts goes to the Yankees. I will end my career if Xander Bogaerts goes to the Yankees. If healthy, I think Arroyo and Story could be a good second base shortstop combo. Definitely serviceable, but healthy is a big word. It would be serviceable. That's the right word. What are your percentages for 2023? Will it be a contending year, a bridge year, or a rebuild year? Eamon, I think a lot of that has to do with Xander Bogaerts, which sounds ridiculous and sounds like Corbin's a Xander fanboy, but think about it, right? If the Red Sox are like, hey, let's sign Xander to a big deal. Well, now it's like, okay, you've got somewhat of your middle infield locked up, right? You've got a young, promising star at first base. You've got Kike on a one-year deal. Rafaela coming up. Let's push now and ease back once some of these other contracts come up, maybe the Chris Sale years, stuff like that. If they don't sign Xander, right, then you're looking at it like, okay, is it a bridge year? Is it a rebuild year? In my opinion, it goes straight into rebuild mode if you lose Xander Bogaerts. So I would say percentage-wise, I would say 50% contending, 20% bridge year, 30% rebuild year. Thoughts on DH? Keep hearing Abreu, but I've heard they want to get younger, more athletic a position. Yeah, I'm sure they're talking to. Abreu. I would be kind of surprised if they ended up with Abreu. What's up, Braden? Versatility. I don't know if they're too worried about. I don't think they're too worried about the luxury tax. I think they're more so worried about building on something that will be sustainable. So even when you get to years where you're under the luxury tax, you can still compete. I think that's where they're at. So I don't know if this year specifically they're worried about the luxury tax. I think it's the next couple of years they're going to be worried about the luxury tax. What would be the biggest mistake that Bloom makes to get him out of Boston? Would they even do that to him? Yeah, I think very quickly if Chaim Bloom goes into this 2023 season, losing Xanders, not extending Devers, even if Devers does have that other year, and then Xander, Devers, and then they don't really do anything to fix the bullpen too, you're talking about a huge gap and just a clear, non-concise plan, and I think that will end up being his demise. I genuinely think if he doesn't make a lot of people super happy in the front office this offseason, it's not even because he's doing a bad job. It's because the front office doesn't want to shell out the money and they get a bad PR rep and suddenly there's a mutiny going on within the Red Sox fan base. They're going to blame it all on Chaim regardless of whether or not he's actually doing a good job. So I could see this is a very pivotal year for Chaim Bloom. Walk and talk with me. It would have to be more than that. What are the odds the Red Sox sign Kodai Senga? I don't know if they're super low, to be honest with you. If the Red Sox don't retain Nate Eovaldi, I think they become big players in the Senga series here. My only thing is whether or not Senga would want to come here, right? He's already talked about how much he admires Yu Darvish on San Diego. He's really good friends with Seiya Suzuki. He's mentioned before that he kind of wants to take the Shohei Ohtani approach and not be super far plane ride from home. So I don't know. I'd put our odds a little bit lower than. Yeah, I'd put our odds. I'd say we're like the fourth team right now in line to get him, but we'll see. Money talks, right? How about the Pats being in the playoffs right now? At least we got one team to be proud of. No, the Celtics and the Bruins are the best teams in the MLB and NBA and NHL. We get Burns, Renfroe, and Milner for Down, Siebold, Duran, Romero, Paulino, and Eric Hosmer if he opts out of it. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I don't think that gets it done for Burns, though. I think they want a lot for Burns. Who would I like to replace Eck on Nesson? I would love Brock Holt. I think there is a path where Brock Holt does end up here on Nesson. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that he gets that gets announced pretty soon here. Verlander looking for 3 years, 130 is insane. He also just won the Cy Young, chat. Right now. Got announced that he won the Cy Young. Justin Verlander is your AL Cy Young winner. Interesting. Yeah, 3 years, 130 million is absolutely nuts. That's 50 million a year. I understand you just won the Cy Young, but that's crazy. No, Eamon, you asked kind of a similar question. Would I be all in on the Sox signing Yankee killer Justin Verlander? 3 year, 120 million a year. That's a lot of money for an aging pitcher who's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. I understand the dude's insane. He's fantastic, but that's still a lot of money. Look at how much money the Mets shelled out for Max Scherzer. Look how well he did in the playoffs. I don't know. That's too much money. Good Lord. I'm with you, versatility. That'd be a perfect sort of match. Derek, you're not alone in thinking that. I just think it's too early to say that the Red Sox will cheap out because they haven't really cheaped out yet. I don't know where that narrative comes from. I guess it's from the Mookie Betts stuff, but Mookie Betts wanted $420 million. That would have been $40 million a year. I don't think so. Do you see Judge coming to the Red Sox? I don't. I see the Red Sox being in on Judge. I don't see him coming to the Red Sox. Do you see us trying guys like Zunino, Sano, Cruz, or Gallo? I don't think Cruz or Gallo's on the radar. I wouldn't be shocked if Zunino the Red Sox talk to, especially with the sort of depth loss in catcher, especially if they want to make a decent trade. I think you could package Connor Wong up a little bit to make him a little bit more valuable in a trade. So I don't think so. Yeah, Eck retired. Heim is trying to run the Sox like a plug-and-play race, so we aren't going to spend big money, except this is such a ridiculous narrative. No offense to versatility. I understand the concern for the Red Sox being cheap, but they were literally over the luxury tax last year. They spent, the 6th highest payroll in baseball or something like that? I don't understand where the cheap stuff comes in. Pedroia replace Veritek or Eck? I think Veritek wants a little bit of a break. Chances of the Sox go after Judge or Nimmo. I think they'll be in on both. I don't know if they sign either. Nimmo, to me, very underrated player for sure, but I don't know if he's going to be worth the contract because it's such a slim outfield free agent market right now. It's such a slim free agent market right now in the outfield. I think he gets overpaid. So, listen, I'm all in for the Red Sox spending a lot of money. I'm all in on the Red Sox spending a lot of money, but I don't want them to just throw money at players because they can. I want it to be legitimate, smart moves. And overpaying for a guy like Nimmo, while Nimmo is great, I don't know if that's the right move. So I don't know if the Sox go after Nimmo. Again, we'll probably see a tweet at some point this offseason that the Red Sox have been linked to Nimmo. It happens every year. Thoughts on Ceddanne Rafael in the majors to start the year? I don't know if he ends up on the major league roster to start the year. I think he definitely ends up on the major league roster at some point. It would make no sense to me for him not to be on the major league roster at some point. So yeah, I would see that. Yeah. Congrats to him. Verlander had a great career. This makes his new contract very interesting. Yeah, I think there is going to be a team that shells out 3 years, $150 million. I wouldn't be shocked. Someone's going to take a huge chance on Verlander. Worried Rafael will have issues with contact for a top of the rotation ace. I would trade him, maybe worth more. Worried about contact. Yeah, a lot of people worry about contact with Rafael. I say give him a chance in the majors. Couple of games, not so much that he loses value, but just to see sort of where he's at. I saw a little bit that they might be starting him in Double-A and bringing him straight to the majors. I would love for them to put him in Triple-A and see how he does for a little bit first. Bring Vasquez back could be an option, depending again on whether or not they want to start the year with Wong and McGuire behind the plate. But you could also do Vasquez and McGuire behind the plate as well. Although I've been hearing Vasquez getting some pretty interesting offers from the St. Louis Cardinals. I think there was another team that was mentioned to be in on Christian Vasquez. So I don't know. How much do you think DeGrom gets in the open market, and where's your prediction he lands? Texas. I mean, he said that he wants to go to Texas. Texas says that he wants him. I see him around 36 to probably in the 35 to 38 million a year range on a shorter year deal, like a 3 or 4 year deal, mostly because obviously he's not going to be in the $50 million range like Verlander wants to be. One, because he's injured. Two, because he hasn't pitched a ton of innings. I mean, he's obviously the best pitcher in baseball, but there are so many risks you have bringing in a guy like Jacob deGrom that I think he stays within that $35 million range. But yeah, I do see him going to Texas. I think Texas make a big push. I heard a rumor about Hunter Renfroe possibly coming back. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I don't see him coming back. I don't think the Red Sox will want to be the team that admits that their trade was terrible. And two, because I think that the Red Sox want a longer-term solution. With Renfroe only 1 year left to control and having 2 great years in a row, he's going to be a little bit more expensive than what he may possibly be worth. I don't know. I haven't looked at the 2024 free agent class, but I could see that not working out perfectly. Red Sox have to spend the most money to spend this offseason. Have the most money to spend this offseason? Yeah, they have a lot of money. Yeah, no, Johnny, it's not including Xander and Rafi, but I mean Xander's a free agent, so I don't think that really counts. But I think Rafi isn't factored into that either. Conforto might be cheaper moving for an outfielder coming off an injury. We were in on him before his injury last year. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit, versatility. My problem with Michael Conforto is it's just such a big question mark. What is he going to look like coming back in the league? Because sometimes players take a year off, they get healthy, and then they're back in ready to go. But not having been signed to a team, not working with a team's training staff, right? You don't really know sort of where he's at in his rehabilitation process. You also don't really know what he's going to look like on the field after not playing for a while. And I just don't want the Red Sox to go into 2023 with the same question marks they had going into 2022. So I don't know if Conforto is the best move there. Corbin, what's the story on draft picks if Nathan and Xander leave? Does the Red Sox get compensated with draft picks? Yeah, they get a 4th round, after a 4th round draft pick, and I think they get a little bit of money. I can't remember the exact quantity. It might be $500,000. Either way, they do get draft picks if both of them leave, yeah. Or if either of them leave, yeah. Heim put is in position to spend and retain the players we have. Took him till now to clean the books. This is his chance to spend like a big league team. Save the Fire Heim chance. I agree. I think if Heim Bloom does nothing this offseason and we're like $30 million under the luxury tax because we just didn't do anything, I would say, yeah, then you can start the fire Chaim Bloom chance. But at the same time, too, I don't think this non-spending thing comes down to Chaim Bloom. I think he's going to be the scapegoat. I think he's going to be the guy that ends up being fired. But I think at the end of the day, this lies on ownership. How likely do you think it is that X-Men comes back? Oh, boy. Right now, I'm going to put it at 70%. That might be a little generous. Am I worried Maguire won't be the same player he was after the deadline? I don't think he'll be as fantastic. I think he will be a solid player, though. Definitely a solid backup catcher for sure. A guy that you can plug in. I don't think we're going to see like 342 at the end of the year for the Red Sox. I don't think it'll be like that, but I think he'll sit around 270 and be a productive hitter at the plate, sort of like a Christian Vasquez type production. Sell high on Rafaela for pitching. I could see them doing that. Yeah, I could see them trying to decide whether or not it's worth the to take the chance on his contact being good. I don't know though. It's going to be interesting to see sort of how they figure this out. All right, chat. YouTube's letting me know I have to insert an ad, so we are going to give a 1-minute ad real quick. All right. Sorry, chat. Juan Ramos, fire Bloom. I think it's too early. I think you could start those chants if he doesn't do anything this offseason. Give him this offseason. That's all I'm going to say, Juan. Give him this offseason before we say fire Chaim Bloom. Theory, Sox recruiting Yoshida and Senga to create some familiarity to go after Ohtani would definitely help their chances. Yeah. I could see, I don't know. I don't think that's a thing, honestly. Mostly because, one, Shohei Ohtani has been adamant about not coming to the East Coast, so I don't think he ends up on the East Coast at all, to be honest with you. And I don't know if the Red Sox are willing to fully take a chance on two players who've never played in the MLB just to get Ohtani here. Not sure how that's going to work. What is the realistic trade for a Brian Reynolds? Well, we could take a look if you want. Let me see here. Hold on. Let's do that. Let's go to MLB. I don't know why this doesn't always come up quickly. Because it's baseball trade values. I always put in MLB trade values. So if we look at the trade value of, this website too, guys, isn't a perfect website to base sort of what a team is going to value a player at. But it's a good starting point. It's a good point to sort of give yourself an idea of what this guy may look like on a trading block in terms of just numerical value. Oh, it goes by last name. Hold on. So yeah, Brian Reynolds is valued at about, a 60. So it's gonna take a lot to get him here. At the end of the day, it's gonna take him a lot. I would assume it would probably be. You're probably looking at trading Thaddeus Ward, maybe you throw in Connor Wong and Mikey Romero, and then maybe you're looking at those three plus either a Downs, Dahlbeck, or Duran, one of those three. See if we get them. What is my ideal offseason? My ideal offseason is getting Xander back, extending Devers. I want a not even legitimate ace. I want a rotation that doesn't have a ton of question marks, right? Going into 2023, we had 2022, so many rotational question marks. I would love them going into 2023, be like, no, this is exactly what we are looking for from our rotation. This is why we went out. This is why we got this guy and that guy. That's what I would like. I would also love at least 2 bullpen arms. I think we need 2 bullpen arms. Even if we don't go out and make a splash and get a big outfielder, if we can shore up our pitching, I think we'll be in a little bit of a better place. This is Bloom's last chance. I think if he misses the playoffs again, we don't re-sign Xander. He's done for sure. Yeah, I think this is sort of the make or break year for Chaim Bloom, and we'll see. Do you think Sale will be solid this year? Yeah, I think Sale will be a pretty decent pitcher this year. I don't think we're gonna get the insane value from him that we've gotten in the past, but I don't think he's gonna be useless like we've had in the last couple of years either. So I think we're gonna get, in terms of like ace 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we'll get a 2.5 type year out of Chris Sale, right? Where he's sort of like our second best pitcher, maybe puts up the best statistics, but doesn't have the best, the longest amount of time and stuff like that. So yeah, I could kind of see him having a good year. Sale will not be traded now. How satisfied am I with this first base situation right now? I would say pretty satisfied, right? Tristan Casas has struggled a little bit making actual contact since coming up, but his eye and his raw power were fantastic. He was an elite defensive first baseman. I think he truly evolves into a legitimate piece on this Red Sox team next year. And worst case scenario, that doesn't work out, we do have a vetted MLB guy in our bench as of right now in Eric Hosmer. So I'm pretty comfortable with first base. I don't think it's one of the main things. What's up, Akiko? Why am I so stuck on Reynolds? People are just asking in the chat. I mean, I'm just answering. Bogey and Segura did not have similar stats this year, AJ. Off to watch the Celtics. Thanks for the chat, Corbin. See you tomorrow. See you, Tony. Thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, I mean, Segura and Xander are in way different leagues, especially this team, right? Especially this team, completely different leagues. 8,200. What's that a year? Less than 30. 8, 200. Wait, I did that backwards. Hold on, chat. I'm looking again. 25 million. I'm taking 8 years, 25 million. Although I would want, see, people get scared with these 8-year deals. If there's some versatility in these 8-year deals, I think it could be fine, right? If you go 8 years, right, but you got a player option after, we'll say 4, and then you've got a mutual option after 6, then you're really realistically looking at worst case scenario, a 6-year contract, which is what most people want for Xander. So if it works out, great. You put him in the 8-year role, maybe throw him at DH, maybe throw him at third base, maybe he backs up, maybe something like that, right? The people are too afraid of the too afraid of the sort of 8-year contract. It just needs to be worked the right way. If it's not worked the right way, then yeah, you can get screwed for sure. Those 8-10-year deals can screw you, no, for sure, if it's just straight 8-10 years. But if there's some versatility and some options in there, then yeah, I think I wouldn't be afraid. So I'm taking Bogey 8,200. Trade Brazier, Winkowski, and Connor Wong for Reynolds in a bullpen piece. That's just simply not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. It'd be nice, but that would be such an underpay for the Red Sox. It'd be insane. My dream 2023 lineup, Brian Reynolds, seems to be the theme of the stream tonight. Trevor Story, Xander Bogaerts, Devers, Jose Abreu, Verdugo, Casas, Hernandez, McGuire. I don't love the idea of Jose Abreu. I wouldn't hate it. I don't love it, but yeah. I mean, it's not bad, bro. Not at all. I mean, it'd be a great starting lineup. So what's going to happen with Nate Eovaldi? I think if Nate Eovaldi and the Red Sox don't get something done within the next, I would say, month, expect him to go somewhere else. I have to imagine Rockies are having buyer's remorse on Chris Bryant. Do you think the Red Sox make any inquiries? What is Chris Bryant's? Seven-year, $182 million. $27 million. I just want to see if there's any opt-outs or anything. Nope. No opt-outs, nothing. Yeah, I mean, they might be looking into it. I wouldn't be, if I were the Red Sox, I'd be a little wary of having a 30-year-old locked up until 37, 36 on 26 million a year who was injured last year. But I could see them taking a look at him, especially because he's been playing. Wasn't he playing at the outfield last year too? Yeah, I could see them taking a look at it for sure. Amen. Small sample size, but this year's Sale's fastball velo was what it was in 2016. His slider movement is very similar, both vertically and horizontally. Good sign. Yeah, I think if Sale stays healthy, he's gonna be a menace to society, and I would love to see that. An absolute menace to society, which would be fantastic. I'm just joining. I had another meeting. I saw that we are going to need another bench coach. I actually think other coaches should be replaced. Yeah, yeah, I think Venable was good. Yeah, I talked about it at the beginning, Peter, but I think that Venable, in my opinion, I'm sort of middle of the road on it. Right, I'm not hurt. I'm not pumped that he's leaving. I think that they will be able to fill his role successfully and figure it out. So I'm not super upset by that at all. But I think you're right. I think there are some other guys on this team who maybe we take a look at moving them around. Cora did say that the pitching or the coaching staff was going to be staying the same going into 2023. Obviously, that's not the case, so maybe some more moves happen. You'd prefer Winker to Bryant? I would prefer Bryant. I think he's more of a proven talent. But I wouldn't hate Winker. So, what's my all-time favorite Bloom move? You know what move I really like? Obviously, it's Kyle Schwarber is the best move for sure. Kyle Schwarber was a big reason why we made the playoffs, and he's a big reason why we went so far into the playoffs last year. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Kyle Schwarber, but Ottavino was a great move. Hanzo Robles at the time was a great move. Bringing in Hunter Renfroe was a great move. Kike Hernandez was a great move. So yeah, there were a lot of pretty decent Heim Bloom moves to pick from, but Kyle Schwarber was elite. Veritek, yeah, we talked about Veritek possibly taking over that bench role. He's got from what I understand, he's got a very specific role with the Red Sox right now. They pay him a lot of money to essentially just be what he was when he was a player, which was an analytics machine. He analyzes pitchers and catchers, and if you want that data, great. He's going to give you whatever he has. He has I remember hearing somewhere that he has binders on every pitcher he's ever seen going back to 2001 or something. So I don't know if he's ready to come out of that role yet. We'll see. Could Bayo be an all-star next year? I think Bayo has the potential to be an all-star for sure. He would have to starting the All-Star game is a different story, but being in the All-Star game, yeah, I could see him doing that. Looking forward to the Soccer World Cup. If I'm going to be totally honest with you, I want to watch soccer. I'm just not very good at watching soccer. Does that make sense? I just sort of I don't know. I forget I'm watching it. So, I don't know. I guess I'm excited for it. I probably won't watch much of it, Jack, to be honest with you. Will the Red Sox get in the Judge race at all, even to drive up the price? Yeah, I think the Red Sox will be in on Judge. I don't think it'll be a serious we're gonna go all in, but I think if the Yankees are offering them $37 million a year, and the Red Sox go up to 39 to see if they can push them. If you could steal one player from any team, who would it be? I mean, the obvious answer is Shohei Ohtani. But if we're talking about kind of having fun with it and doing something completely different, kind of a guy who I don't think. Whoa, what the heck was that? Sorry, chat. A guy that I don't think a lot of people are talking about that could make a big difference on the Red Sox. Give me either Johan Duran or give me Andres Munoz. I think I would love to have that caliber of a closer on this Red Sox team. What's the latest on Paxton's health? Will he be ready for 2023? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he'll be ready for 2023. From what I understand, what was he out for? Tommy John. He's fully healed from that. It was a lat strain or tear that he suffered with like 2 innings into his rehab assignment. So he should be good to go for 2023 unless something else pops up. And if something else pops up at that point, it's if James Paxton gets hurt again and isn't ready for the start of 2023, I don't know, man. If they don't think they can get they can get an extension on either Bogey or Devers, could they take a shot at Ohtani? Well, Ohtani's not a free agent until 2024, so maybe. Judge, I don't know. I mean, it would have to be, the problem with Judge is that Ohtani, in my opinion, honestly, is more realistic, because if you don't get Bogey and then halfway through the season, you're like, Devers is like, dude, I'm not signing here. You screwed over my friends, couple of my friends, right? I don't believe in the organization. I think I get a lot more money elsewhere. I'm going to go somewhere else. Then yeah, you can fully regroup and be like, okay, let's go out and let's get Shohei Ohtani. But Judge is a little bit more interesting. In my opinion, the only way the Red Sox legitimately go after Aaron Judge is if Xander Bogaerts says, hell no, I'm going to the Phillies, or I'm going to, God forbid, the Yankees or something like that. And then Devers immediately after is like, you just got rid of my best friend, my brother. You've screwed over Mookie. You didn't bring back JD, right? All these guys that I loved and respected, you kind of threw to the wayside. I promise you I will not be re-signing with the Red Sox this year. Then they go after Judge. But I think that's worst case scenario, and I don't think that's going to happen. I forgot Paxton existed. Yes, so do I, because I forgot that he was on the team until they said that he was on the team in 2023. Love your videos, FYI. I look forward to them every day. Thanks, Robbie. That means a lot to me, man. Appreciate it. What's your prediction on the rotation this year? I think they go into 2023 looking hopefully something like... It's so hard to figure out what the Red Sox are going to do this offseason, honestly. My ideal rotation would be Rodon, Sale, Whitlock, Bayo, Eovaldi. I think that'd be where I'd go. Or I'd even do Rodon, Sale, Eovaldi, Bayo, Whitlock. I think that would be the perfect rotation. Trade away Pivetta. But realistically, I think it'll end up being Sale, Eovaldi, maybe Senga. They have been heavily linked to him. Bayo and Whitlock. I think they do move Pivetta at some point. In your opinion, what are the biggest needs right now? The biggest needs right now are on the pitching side of things. We had like the 5th highest scoring. It was like, I wasn't 5th. It wasn't that high. It was like 7th or 8th highest scoring team in baseball last year. Our rotation and our bullpen were terrible. So you got to go with that. I think Eovaldi is gone due to the draft pick attached to Eovaldi signing elsewhere and essentially Paxton replacing him in the rotation. I actually think the draft pick is going to hurt his chances of going elsewhere. I think him being attached to a draft pick on top of him being injured, having so many question marks, I think it makes his market smaller. So I could see them using that as sort of a leverage play to get him to stay here, honestly, Eamon. But at the same time, too, you could be right with Paxton essentially replacing him. It depends on if the Red Sox want to fully rely on James Paxton be healthy. Do I think it's worth it going after Nimmo this offseason? I talked about it a little bit earlier. I don't know if you were here, CW, but I don't know if it's going to be worth it. The big reason why is because the outfield market with Jock Peterson taking the qualifying offer and with Aaron Judge really being the only other big name guy in that outfield class in 2023, I think a lot of teams are going to want to try and overpay for a guy like Nimmo. So I don't know if it's going to be worth it. What would a deal for Ohtani look like? Mayer, Cedeno, Rafaela, and 2 major league guys. I think it'd probably be around there. Yeah, you could probably get it done. Well, it depends on when you trade for him. If you trade for him in the offseason, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. They're not trading him this offseason, so you're probably looking at trading for Ohtani at the deadline, which means he's only going to be on your team for 3 months. Then you have to sign him to more than likely the biggest deal ever. So I think you get it done honestly for less than that. Just depends on when you want to sign him at. Do I think Murphy or Walter make opening day, or which is more likely? I think the more likely option is Murphy makes the opening day roster. Don't ask me why. I just have a feeling. But I do think one of them or both of them ends up getting traded. I think the biggest need is a closer. That's fair. Bullpen was 26th or 25th in the league. Yeah, our bullpen was terrible. Terrible. Does Devers join Bogaerts and Yankees pinstripes? You're going to give me an ulcer, Eric. That's what you're going to do. You're going to give me an ulcer. I've decided. You see these? I'm getting, wait, this side. I'm getting little gray hairs. That's because of you. Predictions on Houck next season. I think Houck ends up in the bullpen. If the Red Sox end up with Houck in the rotation, they did not do the offseason correctly, in my opinion. I think he ends up in the bullpen. I think he ends up in a setup role. I don't think I could even see him in a closer role depending on the caliber of arms we get. I think we are going to get some high caliber arms in the bullpen. It's just a matter of where they're used to playing. I don't want the Red Sox to try and get a elite middle relief arm and try and make him a closer. I'd rather they get a middle relief arm, use him as a middle relief arm, and then make Houck their closer. Because Houck went 8 for 9 in closes, and obviously some were pretty sketchy, but he managed to get the job done. So I don't know. Would you trade top prospects for that A's catcher, Sean Murphy? Been seeing a lot of people saying Red Sox should do it. He's not worth top prospects for sure. Definitely not. If we're gonna get Murphy, it would, and the A's are super high on Murphy too, so it's gonna take a lot to get him here. I think you can get obviously Sean Murphy's fantastic, but I think you just have more needs than that. Crazy Ohtani and Devers are both projected to hit free agency next year. I mean, yeah, that's just sort of how it works. Give Devers 3 for 10. Just do it. Again, I'm not opposed to giving out long-term deals. There just needs to be some flexibility in there, right? Like, I would love for Devers. They're like, hey, look, we're going to give you $35 million a year for the first 5 years. Then after 5 years, we're going to have a player option. If you want to opt out, go for it. After those 5 years, we're going to give you $25 million for the rest of the 5-year contract. Then at year 7, we have a mutual option, right? That, in my opinion, is the best case scenario. You have the ability to keep him here if he does well for 10 years. If he doesn't do well, then you made him super rich in 7 years, and now you can sort of look for other options. And I think that's why I'm not afraid to give these guys the 10 years, the 12 years, the 8 years, whatever they want, as long as there's some flexibility built in. And I think Chaim Bloom and the Red Sox are smart enough to do that. It's just a matter of trying to convince the player that that's the best move for him, because obviously you put a mutual option in there. It's not exactly, players are going to be a little bit iffy on it, right? Well, okay, so it's a 10-year deal, but only 7 of those are guaranteed and stuff like that. So you just kind of have to sell it. But yeah, I mean, at this point, give Devers the 10 years, $300 million. Bring Correa to Boston, have a Puerto Rico connection. No, we'll bring Xander back. Would you be interested in Chapman? Absolutely not. I do not want Chapman anywhere near this team. We don't need the controversy that comes with him. We don't need the sort of I'm the man attitude when he's not the man attitude. He's going to be no. I don't want him at all. Would Trevor May be a good reliever for the Sox? Been solid most of his career. Could be a guy that we take a look at this offseason. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up here, especially because he had a bit of a down year with the Mets. So I could see him sort of taking a little bit of a lower deal, coming to Boston, trying to figure stuff out. I would love him in the middle of our bullpen. I think he's a pretty decent middle relief option. There we go. I lost my train of thought. You want the 2 players from Japan? Would be interesting. I don't know if they go for both of them. Red Sox trade Dahlbeck for Yaz just so we have a homegrown town guy here. Would be really cool, but I don't think I mean, yeah, they might do that, but I don't know if Yaz is going to want to sit on the bench or sit in the minors. So I don't know. I don't know. Do I think Aaron Judge will land in Boston? I do not. If Ohtani hits free agency, do you see a team giving him $450, $500 million? So one of the interesting things that I saw when I put out my video on just trying to have fun, I was just trying to have fun. It blew. People did not think it was fun to talk about trading for Shohei Ohtani. But either way, a lot of the comments that I was getting was, what are you talking about? Shohei doesn't care about money, cares about winning. And that's probably true, right? With the type of player Shohei is, he cares about his legacy. He cares about being the best, but it's not really up to him what he signs for, which sounds a little bit ridiculous. But here, let me explain, right? Shohei's going to hit the free agent market, and the very first offer he's going to get is probably going to start at $35 million. Start at $35 million. From there, he's going to keep going and going and going. And I would not be shocked at all if he ends up signing for $45 million a year, because that's his value on the market. And it's not that he's taking the highest bidder. It's that, hey, I want to go to LA, but hey, look at Seattle's making this a really interesting offer, 10 years, $38 million. Maybe I'll take a look at that. And then LA comes back and they're like, no, come here, Shohei. I'm going to give you $42 million, right? So it's not really up to him what the market value for his services are. And so regardless of whether or not Shohei Ohtani wants to focus on winning as opposed to being paid, I think either way he's going to end up being paid. Is there a lot of free agent that have been getting traction to come here? I don't know, honestly. The only one I've really heard a lot about has been Senga and Jose Abreu. Other than that, I've heard a lot of rumors on trades, but I haven't heard a lot of rumors on free agents yet. Talk about Aroldis Chapman, Jake from State Farm. Thoughts on Ward not being protected? I was a little shocked. I think the Red Sox, there are two options here. The Red Sox, well, actually, technically there are three, right? The first one being the Red Sox don't see the potential in him. They think there's something wrong with him. They don't think that he will be a productive major league player. Two, they have a trade set up ready to go for him. They know that they can move him before December 7th, and so they're not going to, waste that 40-man roster spot on someone they're going to trade. Or three, they think that the injuries surrounding Ward within the last couple of, I would say the last year, are enough for teams to be like, maybe not, and they can retain him. So those are the three options. All of them kind of make sense except for the first one. I think there's no way the Red Sox don't see any potential in Thaddeus Ward. So it's one of the last two. Would you want the Red Sox to be all in on Corbin Burns if he's available, but washed up superstar Christian Yelich and his terrible contract are attached? I'm going to spell his name so wrong here. Hopefully that comes up with something. Yep, we got it. $26 million until, $26 million until 36 years old. Unrestricted free agent, 38. Yeah, that's a tough contract. They would have to. I mean, if you're going to trade Corbin Burns and any team is going to want to go for him, they have to. Yeah, the Brewers are going to try and move that. So I would go with that. But yeah, I would want the Red Sox to get Corbin Burns pretty bad. It just depends on the cost, right? That's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But yeah, I mean, I'm all in on a Corbin being on the Red Sox. That would be fantastic for me. Do I think Devers or Xander is DH when Mayer is here? I'd assume his defense won't be great. I would think that by the time Mayer gets here, we're going to see a rotation between Xander and Devers at third base and DH, which would be wildly interesting, by the way. Would be absolutely fantastic to have there. I think it'd be a ton of fun to watch. So, yeah, I don't know if he becomes a full-time DH, no. Senga seems like not a crazy expensive possible ace 2 or 3. I think he's more so a 2 or a 3. I don't think he is a ace right away. I think he has the ability maybe to get to an ace level, but 2 or 3 is a good place to start. But yeah, not super expensive at all. Probably worth the risk of getting him here. I do hope they retain Xander. My biggest hopes revolve around our team investing in young pitching. I really hope to see them make some great selections early in the June 2023 draft. Yeah, like I respond to you today, Joseph. I think the Red Sox have built up a big enough farm system in terms of position players where they could start to focus on pitching. The other thing too that people tend to not remember when you're talking about pitching depth in the minor league system. Pitchers are obviously super important, but what's more valuable in a trade? A shortstop who has all-star potential or a pitcher who has all-star potential? It's 9 times out of 10 it's the shortstop. It's easier to trade a guy at third base who struggled for a year than a guy who was a pitcher in single A and struggled for a year. So in terms of talking about the value of your farm system on the open market, because realistically only about 10% of your current farm system will ever hit the MLB. And of those 10%, only about 5% of that 10% are going to be legitimate candidates to be playing every single day for more than a year and a half. So you got to kind of figure that your farm system is more so a tool to be able to get you major league ready players, and it's more valuable to have position players in your farm system at the top of your farm system than it is to have pitchers at the top of your farm system, if that makes sense. Think Bauer will ever pitch in the bigs again? Yeah, I think there's a team out there that'll give him a shot. Longer term Xander contract is not in the Sox best interest. That's just, I mean, why? Tell me why, Christian. I would love to hear this. I'm interested, genuinely. We should trade Downs, Dahlbeck, and Duran, and maybe Pivetta. Yeah, I think Dahlbeck and Duran end up on the chopping block. Pivetta, maybe. Depends on what other pitching moves you make. Downs, yeah, get him out of here. How realistic is that? Is it that Story reverts back to Colorado level production? Pretty realistic. I think he'll be good. How throw in Bednar in a Reynolds deal? I would love that. Again, it would be really expensive. Saw that you can't trade Ward until after the Rule Fried draft from Sox prospects. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I figured that would be okay. So then, yeah, I guess they're hoping that. Yeah, I guess they're hoping that teams see that he was injured for a while and don't take a risk on him. Yes or no on Andrew Chafin? Yeah, I'd be down with Andrew Chafin. I think it'd be fun to have here for sure. Great mustache, by the way. Great mustache. How much would you give DeGrom to come to Boston? I would max out DeGrom at $30 million a year for like a 3-year deal. There's just so many question marks with DeGrom. I wouldn't be shocked the Red Sox aren't even interested in DeGrom, to be honest with you. What's up, Echo? Couple of question marks or a couple of questions here about Bellinger. You would have to. Yeah, I mean, you could try maybe if they release Bellinger or DFA Bellinger or something like that. Maybe you could take a chance on him, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's much there for Bellinger, honestly. I don't know if he wants to try that hard, to be honest with you. What do I think of Trey Turner? I love Trey Turner. I don't think he's a better fit than Xander, but I think if we're talking in terms of play shortstops I would have here on this Red Sox team, it would be Xander, Trey, Correa, Dansby. What are my offseason predictions? I think the Red Sox surprise a lot of people. I think they make a wild trade. I think they make a wild trade. I think they make a big signing on top of re-signing Xander. Similar Padres over the last few years. What dark horse team do I see changing their culture and becoming big spenders to be yearly contenders? I have a feeling, the Marlins, interesting choice. I think the Orioles are going to be surprise spenders this offseason. And I don't think they're going to get any, like, the biggest fish, right? Like, I don't think we're going to see Orioles throwing out a $400 million contract for Aaron Judge. But I could see the Orioles being a big component in a Chris Bassett, in a, getting some of these guys like Corey Kluber, who I know isn't a big name, but it's a, I could see the Orioles making some splashes this offseason to gear up and really go for it in the next couple of years. Because to be honest with you, you have the Blue Jays, right, who did well this year but still have their holes. Tampa Bay looks like they're going to take a step back and start retooling a little bit based on their moves already this offseason. If the Yankees lose Aaron Judge, they're going to take a huge step down. The Red Sox, we've got our issues, obviously. I could see the Orioles taking this as their opportunity to really jump in here. Biggest concern with DeGrom's the injury history. Yeah, he's just such a question mark, honestly. I think the Red Sox tanked in 2020. They didn't care because it was a COVID Mickey Mouse year, and they wanted Meyer or Leiter. Yeah, maybe, yeah. What's the most years and money you'll give Rodon to come to Boston? Let me see. I'm just curious right now. What? Man, there's usually an easier way to do this. Tools, maybe. There used to be they like Sport Track updated their stuff, and so now it's just like I have no idea market values. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Carlos Rodon right now, $32 million a year. I don't think I'd give Carlos Rodon $32 million a year. I'd give Rodon like 30 years, or 30 million, 30 years, Jesus, 30 million for like 3 years. See how he does, and then figure it out from there. I think that's where I'd put him. Hope we keep our top 5 prospects. Unless they're going to make a massive trade, I could see them very well holding on to that. In all seriousness, I love Xander, but a contract upwards of 5 years with no opt-outs just seems just doesn't seem optimal to winning a championship event. Extra showing his power is declining with age. Well, I mean, yeah, but there are outside factors to consider there too, Christian. It's not just it's not just his power numbers declining. It's the fact that he had almost won a batting title, was top 10 in MVP voting with a hurt back in a contract year, right? So there's more behind just advanced metrics on a player. And sometimes I love advanced metrics, don't get me wrong. And I think it's one of the cool things about baseball is that it can be so analytical and you can almost find a reason for just about everything, but you have to take everything with a grain of salt as well. And I think, like we've been talking about this entire, it's kind of been a sort of overarching theme here, is that the Red Sox and really all of Major League Baseball shouldn't be afraid to give guys longer term deals. There just needs to be some flexibility in there. So like you said, an upwards of 5 years without any opt-outs. Well, you can't say no opt-outs because you could very easily give Xander the 8 years, $29 million a year that he wants, but say, hey, look, after year 3, we're going to give you an opt-out. Then after year 5, we're going to do a mutual option and then after year 8 or after year 6, we're going to do another mutual option, right? So you have these sort of options going into these years that allow you to have the flexibility, while at the same time too, if you're sitting there and you're like, hey, I love what Xander's been doing. He's 36 now, and obviously that's going to be a problem, but maybe we stick him at DH this year and he still has a productive offensive season. Then there's no problem there. Obviously, his value isn't going to be worth what the value of $30 million is right now at age 38. It's just not a thing. That's not going to be possible, but he's still productive, and you're really paying for the first 4 or 5 years of that contract is what you're doing. Rafael is raking in Puerto Rico right now. Yeah, I saw that. Which of our top prospects do you see being dealt this offseason, if any? I could see the. Oh, we just got a tweet from Mariano Pepin. All right, we got actually, I'll put this on the big screen here. We got an update. Nothing crazy, but this could be good news here. Let's translate it for you, chat. Everything indicate that the next few days will be very active for the Red Sox. Interesting. Very interesting. Does that mean trades? Does that mean deals? Does that mean free agents, extensions? What does that mean? What does that mean? Sorry, Rob. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I didn't mean to cut your answer off midway there. If they're going to trade anyone, I think it ends up being Nick York. I think he's a bit of backlogged here in the way that he can play every day for the Red Sox. So I could see if any of our top prospects go, it'll be Nick York. Don't forget the Orioles offered Correa a sizable deal to match the Twins. Yeah, the Correa will be. Yeah, the Orioles are going to be surprising. I'm telling you right now. When do the fireworks start, and who'll be the first free agent to sign? I think we see a big signing within the next week, and then I think it cools off a little bit, and then I think Judge signs sometime in late December, early January. I think you get Correa, Trey Turner, Xander, Swanson, those four kind of within like a 3-week period here in December. I would say December, but I think the big first hat to drop will be Jacob deGrom. Who do I think takes last place in the AL East? I could see, especially if. Ooh, that's a good question. I think the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be last place next year. Thanks, Christian. Yeah, it's fun to talk about. I do like talking to you guys when we have opposing sides for sure. I heard the Phillies are interested in Xander. They are very interested in Xander, yes. I'm worried they will lose my number 9 prospect Ward in Rule 5. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he goes in Rule 5. They didn't say if it was a good or bad surprise, Rip. Surprises are coming. Yes, they are. Why is Devers trending? Let's take a look. I don't think it's anything serious. What was that? Home. It's Ohtani that's trending. Maybe if I go back into notifications. Benintendi's trending. What do we got here? Looks like I don't know. Looks like just Red Sox fan wanting him to have. Looks like the Red Sox and Yankee fans are fighting over whether or not they want to have Benintendi. Ohtani's got trending right now. What did he win MVP? No, just Ohtani's trending, and he came in because he came in 4th in MVP or Cy Young voting. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Oops. Do you think if something isn't done for Bogey soon, he informs the Sox he won't return? I think I could see a scenario where the Red Sox go, look, if you don't want to agree to our deal, why don't you take a look at what the deals that are being offered around the league, and we'll match it up until a certain point. That's what I could see. If the Sox don't end up being spenders this offseason, anybody from the 2024 class aside from Ohtani on your radar? Julio Urias would be an awesome addition. I honestly haven't even looked at the 2024. Yeah, I honestly haven't looked at the 2024 class here. 2024. This is it for 2024 free agents. Aaron Nola would be an interesting one. I think Adam Wainwright retires. Not really interested. Definitely not interested. Jock Peterson, depending on what his contract looks like. Martin Perez, probably not. Yeah. Who would be a great Rule 5 steal? Garrett Whitlock was a great addition. Do you think another guy out there to grab like him? I'm sure there is. I honestly am just not informed enough to tell you who's eligible for the Rule 5 draft on each team. I have no idea. I have a feeling Bogey will go to the Chicago Cubs. They have the Sox personnel there that brought him to Boston. Maybe. We'll see. Would I want Benintendi back on the Red Sox? Depends on the deal and what type of situation we're looking for with them. The problem is we don't want too many lefties, and we got a lot of lefties right now. Casas, Betts, Verdugo, McGuire, right? We don't want to overload on lefties, especially with Benintendi, who he's good, don't get me wrong, but he's not like insane, so I don't know. Yeah, I saw Big Fudge signed a contract with minor league deal. With the Astros. Interesting. I hope he does well. I always thought there was something left in the tank with Austin Davis. What's up, Griffin? The owner of the Sox has been in the news a lot of late. Yeah, he's looking to bid on the Commanders, it looks like. We need a power outfielder. I don't even know. We need a leadoff guy. I would be okay if the Red Sox decided they were going to get a true DH and went for a leadoff guy in the outfield position, too. So I don't know. I'd be in on Benintendi. It just depends on the situation. Conforto want a prove it deal? It depends. It would have to be a really prove it deal. I would be okay with Conforto on like a 1 year, $7-8 million deal. Just to say, yeah, fine. But I think other than that, it's going to be pretty hard for. It'd be pretty hard for me to accept Conforto when there are other options out there that could possibly be good enough to have the same production as Michael Conforto and have proved that they can play over the last couple of years. So that's where I'm at with that. Yeah. Who is Corbin's favorite player? Did he say? Currently on the Red Sox, this guy. Well, not currently on the Red Sox, but until he leaves, that guy. We haven't had a great leadoff since Mookie. Yeah, and I don't think we'll ever get a great leadoff like Mookie Betts ever again. Mookie Betts is one of the greatest of all time, but I don't know if we'll ever have that level of production ever again. Didn't know that about the Commanders. Yeah, I saw an article the other day. I wonder if I could look it up for you guys. Or FSG Washington. Yeah, here. Red Sox owner wants NFL team could buy the Commanders. John Henry linked with FSG after Liverpool merges as potential bidder for the Washington Commanders. Yeah, so it looks like he might put a bid in. Obviously, there's a lot in between might put a bid and actually does put a bid in. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But as of right now, it's a possibility, I'll say. Rushed home for my econ midterm to be here. Edward, you did not have to do that, but thank you. Welcome in. Could Xander become a leadoff hitter as his powers disappeared? I don't think his powers actually disappeared. Let me hold on. Oh boy. Xander was never a 30 home run type player, except for what, like 2019? Yeah, his highest home run total was 2019 with 33. Other than that, he's only hit over 20 home runs 3 times in his career. So it's not like 2022 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of service time in Major League Baseball was his dead middle of the pack. It's not like he's draining power-wise. Xander was definitely a pretty powerful short in terms of shortstop. Trade Devers and wait for the Myers and York combination. I'm good with that. Trade Eric Yeager. One who's taking over the for Ack in the broadcast booth. I think it'll end up being. I think Will Middlebrooks will have a bigger role. I think Kevin Youkilis will have a bigger role. I think those two will kind of. Yeah. I mean, Devers is a 325 hitter with 20-25 home runs in a good year. Yeah. Yeah. But at the same time, too, that's a fantastic stat line. That's a really, really good stat line. We could trade Brazier for Don Arcillo back. That would be fantastic. Imagine a trade like that. That'd be wild. You are assuming I have some trade value. What, you don't think you're going to be worth anything on the open market? Would I want JD Martinez back at the DH or Hosmer and Cassis splitting time at first base DH? Um, I wouldn't hate JD. Yeah, I think the Red Sox are going to go for more versatility in their DH position, so I don't see Xander coming back. Yeah, that's probably right, Snowflake. Middlebrooks back announcing means we get more Jenny Dell. I'm in. Sell Nesson, the Red Sox, to Corbin and Red Seat Radio. Think I got that type of capital? No. We'll get the money from Hustlers University. I like it. Let's go. Yeah, I think we all do, Joe. Thanks for coming by, though. I appreciate it. Thank you. I got a Will Middlebrooks autograph when he was an All-Star in the Eastern League the year he went to the All-Star game at the Fisher Cat Stadium. Ah, interesting. Yeah, I grew up near there. I went to the Fisher Cats a couple of times. I think I got a Mookie Betts autograph when he was in Double A at some point. I just lost it. I had no idea where it went. I got a couple of bigger name guys. I know that for sure. I maybe even got a Xander one at some point. I don't even remember. I got a ton of them at Fisher Cat Stadium. So shout out to the Fisher Cats. My uncle Ryan Brazier says he has feelings too, you know. Is your uncle really Ryan Brazier? Definitely not. So Henry wants to buy a football team but not spend money on his own team. Time will tell, Justin. I wouldn't say Henry's not spending money yet. I think this is the offseason. How tired am I of talking about Devers and Xander contracts? I'm exhausted. Yeah, I'm exhausted. What I want, and I really do enjoy talking to people about them. My biggest gripe with the Xander Devers contracts is not misinformation, but there are a lot of people, and this is with everything, right? Who have not done a ton of research on what a contract at a certain length and a certain monetary value would look like. They just see the value in the dollar amount and they're like, no, or they're like, yes. And there are a lot of people too. And this is about to be a rant, Iman. You got me on a rant. There are a lot of people too, especially with the Devers and Xander things, that it feels as though a lot of, and it's not just Red Sox fans, it's MLB fans in general, sort of forget that it's okay to get emotionally attached to players. Like, that's why you love sports, is because you get emotionally attached to the team and you get emotionally attached to the players on the team. And especially with a team or a league like MLB, where you are watching them pretty much every day for 4, 5 months, 6, if you get super lucky and they get to the World Series every single year. And it's like, the second a guy who has lived, breathed, and died for your team for the last 9 years becomes a free agent, and there's even a slight hint that he does not want to be here anymore, it's like, okay, screw him. We don't want him. We don't need him anyways. Well, it's okay to be emotionally attached to this guy. It's okay for you to get a little nervous, and instead of being like, well, I'm nervous he's not going to come back, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig into the analytics and find a reason why I don't want him back. It's okay to be like, no, I want him to be here because I love watching him play, and I love the person he is, and I love the way he plays baseball. It's okay to do that. So, Eamon, to answer your question, yes, I am tired of talking about it. But to answer your second part of your question, I'm going to, if they get announced, even if they don't get announced the same day, there's going to be a video of me, cigar in hand, popping a bottle of champagne, and we're just going to read through the comments of people who didn't want, or people who didn't think Xander was coming back. That's where I'm at. I'm good with that, I think, Snowflake. It's Casas time. It is Casas time. I'm very excited for him. And I'm like 20 minutes away from Manchester. The Fisher Cats are cool because the tickets are so cheap. Oh, they're fantastic. I love it. How much longer do you think it'll be till Heim Bloom starts making deals? I would say I would say fairly soon here. I say we see our first move within the next week, Chris. I'm in Manch right now with League of the Fisher Cats. They're the AA affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays. So which is really cool because you get to see some of the guys you're going to be competing against. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. came through there. Bo Bichette came through there. There were some cool players that came through there. And the Portland Sea Dogs come up and face them a lot because they're in the same league. So you get to see a ton of really cool Red Sox prospects as well. And it's like $7 to get in there, AJ. So if you haven't gone yet, check it out. Yeah, emotions have hit me. I'm a cursor for my favorite player. Would I trade Dahlbeck in a decent minor leaguer for Sean Murphy? If that's all it takes, yes. People were hurt by the Mookie situation. A lot of the Xander Devers situation derives from that fear. Oh, 100%. Of course it does. That's exactly why there's a lot of people who are like, well, I don't want him anyways. They don't want me. I don't want him anyways, because that's sort of obviously the Mookie situation should have been handled better by the front office, but they did offer him a $300 million contract. He turned it down because he wanted to go to free agency. And then when he got to free agency, he decided to go to the Dodgers. And it felt as though even after he was traded, right? Even after he was traded, there was still a chance. And they still did. The Red Sox, even after he was traded, offered him a $300 million contract. He decided to stay in LA. So it's like, there's just so much pain in the Red Sox organization right now that I think people almost want it so they aren't let down. Does that make sense? Is it just me or does anyone else hold a grudge against Manny Machado? For everyone does, yes. I hate Manny Machado. Do I think Fitzy is picked up in the Rule 5 draft? I wouldn't be shocked. He had a pretty bad second half of the AAA season, though, Nathan. So I could see him not getting picked up, and I'm fairly confident that's why they didn't put him on the 40-man. But yeah, I could see it. I honestly deserve to treat myself on a trip to the amount of time and coverage I've spent on Devers and X. Yeah, I spent a lot, but it makes sense because they're the biggest names in Red Sox baseball right now. So, it makes sense we're talking about them a ton. From Niagara Falls, lifelong Sox fan. Daughter's very first MLB game was at Fenway Park. That's awesome. What's going on, Grandstand? I don't think they will as much as I want. Seeing the track record of the ownership, I'd love for them to come back, but I don't have high hope for the ownership. Yeah, see, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's a ton of fun, AJ. Snowflake, that's just simply not true. I think I only paid like $50 to sit above the dugout at their stadium. What at Fisher Cats? Yeah. What's up, Edgar? Yeah. Pac-Man. That's one of the where am I? Oh yeah, Pac-Man. Yeah, that's kind of one of the gripes I have too with the MLB offseason. I wish there was like we could still have the offseason the way it is and trades can still go on for or maybe free agency can go on for a certain period of time, but maybe you shorten up the trading window in the offseason. I think that'd be pretty fun. Um Something like that. I don't know if that would work because obviously then you have the trade deadline to worry about, but maybe specifically like, or maybe there's a free agent signing period from November to January. So you have sort of like a condensed, like I hated the lockout, but I love the sort of frenzy that came after the lockout. Yeah, I'd love for them to sign Xander and Devers too there, Edgar. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I got Arroyo at shortstop, Duran in right field, rotation without Nader Walker. Also, I don't get let down, but the DH still will still be my guy. Yeah, New Hampshire. New Hampshire is great because yeah, it's never really like packed. I mean, it's busy when Portland's in town, but it's not like crazy either. Any shot Duran gets another chance to stay in the majors? I don't think so. I think he got way too big of an opportunity last year, and it just didn't work out. Um, so yeah, I don't think Duran gets another chance. I think he ends up getting shipped out. Honestly, extend Devers, please. Yeah, I mean it's about time. It's about time. I wouldn't be shocked at all. And Eamon, I'm so sorry we're talking about it again. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he's waiting for with Xander and the situation that ends up with Xander and honestly the moves around him. Which teams have taken the biggest steps so far this offseason? It's Seattle. That makes the most sense. They've made the biggest splash. A lot of the other players that have gone so far have been kind of kind of unsatisfying deals. So thanks for stopping by, Luis. Appreciate it. Jose Siri. Wait, Johnny, I have no idea what you're saying. Technically, Mookie was never actually a free agent. I thought he went. I guess you're right. He was never a free agent. Didn't he sign that extension once he went to the Dodgers? The Mookie Betts trial. I'm kind of sick of talking about it, honestly. I mean, yes, it happened fairly recently, but any chance JBJ comes back? Probably not. Yeah, Pac-Man. I mean, that's how it usually is. I guess it kind of depends on the class, too. I feel like recently, too, with a lot of the bigger name guys, they've been waiting a while to see what other players in the market come out as. So, are any of this year's free agents absolute game changers? Depends on how you look at it. I think Aaron Judge is an absolute game changer for a lot of teams. I think, obviously, DeGrom is the most talented pitcher in all of baseball, so I put him in the game changer category, I guess. It depends on what team he ends up going to. Yeah, I think those are the only true this will take a team from a wild card hopeful to a World Series contender. Yeah, I mean, yeah, JBJ was fantastic on the field. With the direction this team is going, you can't hide a right fielder anymore. It's just not going to happen. How about them Bruins? Yeah, the Bruins and Celtics have been insane, haven't they? Both of them have been crazy good, right? I have no idea. Oh, I still have the pictures from last streams up, chat. I was like, what is dancing around on my screen here? It keeps asking me to show. And I'm like, no, I don't want to show because I don't know what it is. Turns out it is the pictures of last stream. We are not putting those back up on here. God, no. Do I think the Angels do anything with Trout and Ohtani? I don't think so. I think they understand how much revenue is coming from Ohtani, and if you're trying to sell a team, that's a big point of emphasis is look at how much of an international market we have. So I don't think so. Do I like that they're going after Brian Reynolds? Yeah, I love it, and they're just rumors right now, but I love the fact they're going after Brian Reynolds. I love the fact they're talking to teams about big name guys. I like that a lot. I want Bellinger with the Sox. I would love for the Sox to bring him in. I think he's going to make a comeback season and need to get lefty pop. Another Bellinger question. It's not that I don't think Bellinger can turn it around. It's a good question, Robbie, because it's a question of whether or not he truly wants to turn it around, right? It seemed like from everything that was coming out of LA was that he just sort of doesn't care that he's doing terribly. I mean, obviously he cares, but he's not putting in like when Trevor Story was doing bad, he was in the cage for 7-8 hours a day. It doesn't seem like Cody Bellinger is that type of guy. If the Red Sox can get him on a really cheap deal, though, or a really, really cheap trade, I mean, it could be. It could be a good move because obviously, with a guy like Duran too, who didn't seem to be working that hard from everything we heard, but ended up he was working really hard. It just wasn't clicking right. So maybe he gets traded and goes to a team like Kansas City, which is a bit ironic because the Kansas City fans hate him. But if he goes to Kansas City and turns it around and you just need a change of scenery, maybe it's the same thing with Bellinger. I don't know. I think it depends on how you get Bellinger here. Do you think that if we offer Xander a fair deal and he still walks, Eamon's mad right now that people are still asking this. Do you think that if we offer Xander a fair deal and he still walks, do you think we get another big name shortstop? No. Moves are coming in the next few days. Mariano Pepin tweeted that. Yeah, I just saw that grandstand. What are the odds the Angels trade Ohtani the deadline this year? I think it kind of depends on where they're at with their selling of the team, right? If a buyer's coming in real quick and they think they can get a deal done by the end of next year, I don't think it's super likely. If they're doing bad, they don't have any prospects on selling the team, then actually I think it might be the opposite. I don't know. I think there is a chance that the Angels put Shohei Ohtani at the deadline. I don't think it's very high though. Duran for Belly. Now that would be a really interesting trade. Really interesting trade. Thoughts on David Hamilton being protected? I saw many times in Portland, base stealing obviously there, but he hit like 240. I think a lot of the reason they protected David Hamilton, again, there's two reasons they would protect David Hamilton. One would be because of the rule changes, right? Limits on pickoffs. You're making the bases bigger. You're limiting the amount you can shift, right? That all sort of makes base stealing more relevant within MLB. And if you have a guy who can swipe 70 bags a year, that'd be insane. Obviously, it's to get on base to do that. But if you're talking sort of a late inning pinch runner, if you're talking sort of maybe a top of the lineup type guy who can draw a walk, there's some value in that now. So that might be one of the reasons why they decided to save Hamilton. The other, in my opinion, is that maybe there are teams looking at David Hamilton who are like, oh man, I'd love that speed. We need some middle infield depth. He's very close to Major League ready in terms of age and in terms of sort of his production on the field and on the bases. Obviously, his bat isn't fully there yet. So there might be a team that takes a chance on him at the Major League level. So there's two options there. And I think that's really why they saved him. Duran for Belly. Yeah, I think we talked about that. That'd be a wild trade. Yes. Do you think it's bogey or farm for our shortstop position? No, I think they'll go out and they'll get a shortstop. I don't think it will be a top four like the Swanson, Correa, Turner type shortstop. Who is Mariano Pepin? It is essentially the Spanish correspondent for the Red Sox. He had some really great information. This guy, Mariano Pepin. I'm still learning Spanish, chap. But he usually gets some fairly decent scoops because he's got a little bit different of a source. He's not the super most reliable person in the world, but he definitely has some good sources. So what he said recently was everything indicates that the next few days will be very busy, very active for the Red Sox. So I guess we'll see what happens. Celtics are currently winning, and the Bruins are 11-3. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. A Red Sox offseason of Reynolds, Senga, Evaldi, Abreu, Vasquez, Chafin, Moore, Jansen, Bogey, Devers extension. Yeah, you could probably switch a couple of those guys in and out. I don't really want Abreu. But yeah, I mean, that'd be a pretty decent offseason. Do I like Senga for the Red Sox? It depends on the cost. I would be okay with Senga on the Red Sox for sure. It just sort of depends on what he ends up going for on the open market, right? If you pay him under like a 2 or 3 salary and he ends up doing really well, yeah. Would I like the Red Sox to sign Chafin? Yeah, I would be happy if the Red Sox signed Chafin. Cassis Rookie of the Year 2023. I am booking that. I am all in on that. Oh wait, did I not show you guys the tweet I was talking about? Sorry, guys. Do I know which level Marcelo Mayer is at right now? He's at high A. He'll probably start the year. They'll probably start the year in high A and finish in double A if I was a betting man. It would probably be Jose Iglesias if we don't get X back. Yeah. It'll probably be Iglesias. I don't know who else is a shortstop, honestly. Let me see. Shortstop. Here, I'll let you guys. This is kind of nice. I made it so that you guys can see what I'm up to, which is good. So, yeah, not a ton of options here when it comes to true shortstops. Iglesias, Diaz, maybe just to fill a whole 2-year deal. Elvis and yeah, I mean after these four, it drops. Good lord. Yikes. It'll probably be Arroyo. That would make the most sense to me. Or maybe they go out and they get like a center fielder and have Kike play shortstop, maybe. I don't know. What happened to Sawamura? He was DFA'd. Oh man, did I just move my camera? Yeah, not a ton. Not a ton. He was DFA'd, elected free agency, and I don't know if Sawamura ended up. I don't know if Sawamura signed a deal. Doesn't say. Yeah, I don't know if he ended up back in the Yeah, I don't see anything about him signing overseas, but he's not with the Red Sox anymore. Night Echo, thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, we'll probably be live for another 20 minutes. I feel like Story moves over to shortstop if Xander leaves. Story, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Excuse me. I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Red Sox decide to move Story over to shortstop for 2 years. I think he does eventually go back to second base, though, if he does come into shortstop. Realistic options for the pen. Chafin was a good one that gets brought up a lot. Man, I had a whole video on free agent relievers. Trevor May was mentioned in this chat. I mean, there's probably like I think there's like 100 free agents. So I don't know. There's so many. We honestly realistic option for the pen is just anybody. Tyler Rogers is a good one. I like him, the lefty. If Xander doesn't re-sign with the Red Sox, where do you see him going? Probably the Phillies or the Dodgers, one of the two. Hoskins at DH. Yeah, I mean we could try and trade for Rhys Hoskins. I don't know. Rhys Hoskins is exactly what I think Bobby Dahlbeck was supposed to be. If Bogey leaves, why not trade for Ketel Marte? Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad option. Griffin, if you're still in here, you'd be very down for that. I don't know why, but Senga gives me Dice K vibes. Yeah, kind of a similar pitch mix. A little bit of a similar windup. Although he doesn't have that sort of pause, wiggle, throw. Think Heim will have a crack at Dansby. I think the Red Sox. I think the shortstop situation's kind of out of Heimblum's hand. I think it's all up to ownership. When is the Red Sox next World Series coming? I'm feeling desperate. I mean, man, it's only been 4 years. Imagine having to wait 86. A little bit of patience there, Ethan. I think, if history repeats itself, every time the Red Sox have a terrible year, they win the World Series the next year. So May seems like a Bloom sign, cheap with an upside. Yeah. Rogers would be fantastic. Yeah. What does a Ketelmar trade look like? It's probably not super crazy, mostly because his trade value isn't wild. Because it's such a down year this year. Yeah, Ketel Marte's value right now is negative 36. I don't know what kind of he's on a contract. I know that. A 5-year, $76 million contract. So Ketel Marte's making 11, 13, 16, 16. So yeah, he's making a pretty decent amount of money to not play well. I don't think he played well at all. I gotta get in the habit of showing you guys what I'm doing so you guys aren't left out of the blue here. Yeah. Yeah, Ketel had a pretty tough season in terms of I don't know why he honestly because last year he was fantastic, but in 2019 he was really good. But other than that, he's been pretty league average. 2022 he had a 240 average, 12 home runs, 321 on base. I mean, it's pretty good. 101 most strikeouts of his entire career, but also most yeah. So I don't know. He'd probably be pretty cheap to get. Did Will Bednar crack the show last year? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Marte for Dahlbeck, Durant, Siebold. You could probably just do it for Dahlbeck, Siebold, probably. Any news at all on Noah Song? Saw he could be drafted in the Rule 5. I don't know. I have no news on Noah Song. I have absolutely no idea what he's up to. Not a clue. None. The last I heard, he was. Last I heard, he had put in a. Oh, there it is. Oh no, this was 2019. Okay. Applies to. This was the last thing I heard was that he applied to continue his baseball career, but we haven't heard anything after that. Apparently, those waivers can take like a year and a half to come back, so I guess we won't know. Evaldi declined his qualifying offer. Is there anyone else you see? Declining their qualifying offer? Well, everyone has either accepted or declined their qualifying offers. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can get a legitimate list. Yeah, here you go. Here's how it ended up. So Aaron Judge, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Jacob deGrom, Dansby, Carlos Rodon, Brandon Nimmo, Wilson Contreras, Chris Bassett, Anthony Rizzo, and Nate Eovaldi all denied theirs. Jock Peterson and Martin Perez were the only people to accept them. Do I like Whitlock as a starter? I think Whitlock has a ton of I think Whitlock has a ton of potential to be a really great starter. I think he didn't really have the ability to fully stretch himself out to be a starter, and then he got injured, so we never really saw the full capabilities of Garrett Whitlock as a starter. I think they do need to make moves in the bullpen, though, to supplement those. Because if you're going to take out such an elite weapon like Garrett Whitlock, you have to have something to back that up. How far will Blaze go in baseball? I don't know. It kind of depends on how well he can hit off speed pitches at a higher level. He had a really great year this year, and all signs pointing towards him being fantastic. But he still needs to get up into higher levels. I think he's right with Marcel Meyer in high A. So yeah, it kind of all depends on that. It doesn't really matter about his defense. It'll be serviceable. I don't think it'll be fantastic, but if he has that raw power with his ability to make contact too, and he's hitting even 260 with 35 bombs max potential, that's a really great player. Wilson Contreras. I bet the Red Sox look pretty heavily into Wilson Contreras. I don't know what Wilson Contreras' market will look like. He's by far the best catcher option available. So I don't know what his market will look like, but I would be shocked if the Red Sox did not go after him. I'd be shocked. No, I don't mean like seriously like go after him as hard as they can, but at least take a look at him, you know? That'd be insane if they didn't at least take a look at him. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that was those any little tidbits of information here. Nothing really crazy. Yeah, just a lot of people excited about the moves coming out, Trap. Cards, yeah, the Cardinals will look very hard at Wilson Contreras for sure. Vasquez, yeah, I could see Vasquez going to St. Louis. I could also see that being somewhat of a factor, like seeing St. Louis trying to get. I could see St. Louis trying to get Xander here by grabbing. Um, I could see St. Louis getting Xander to trying or getting Vasquez to try and get Xander. That's what I was trying to say. Whew, that was a long drink for a short, or a long walk for a short drink of water. What do I think about what happened to Yasiel Puig? I mean, it sucks. Um, yeah, it sucks. Like he was a great player to watch, ton of fun. You can't do that kind of thing though. Mike Zunino, yeah, Mike Zunino, the Red Sox will probably look at for sure. He's definitely a guy that's gonna have a pretty decent market. I heard the Astros are going all in on Contreras. Interesting. I wonder what they're gonna do with Maldonado then, because they use Maldonado a lot. Ugh. Would love Chris Bass on the Red Sox. Yeah, I'd love Chris Bass on the Red Sox too. That'd be awesome. That'd be a ton of fun. Ton of fun for Chris Bass to be on the Red Sox. I think it'd be a great addition. But if you're getting Chris Bass, you're probably not getting Nate Eovaldi. That's probably how that's going to work. Because Chris Bassett and Nate Eovaldi, at their ceilings, are probably pretty similar. What does a Bassett contract look like? You're probably looking about, what did he opt out of? He opted out of like, what, 20 million a year, I think? It was 19 million, I think, was what he opted out of. So you're probably looking at like 25 a year for Bassett. So get what, do 3 years, 25 million. What's that come out to? 75, 3 years, 75 million. Probably about where he's sitting, which isn't terrible for a pitcher of his quality, honestly. Well, that's probably what the market will be. Although, honestly, everything's kind of inflated this year. So I don't know. Okay, one final trade. Romero, Paulino, Dahlbeck, Downs, Siebold, Luis, Pareles, and a player to be named later for Brian Reynolds and David Bednar. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of players for two players, but if those people are both going to be immediate impacts on the major league club and the Red Sox want to make a splash, I could see them going for it for sure. But like, who do we see as a possible choice at catcher? I could see them going into 2022 with Wong, McGuire back there. I mean, there are so many bigger holes that need to be filled. So, but if we need to get a catcher, I can see the Red Sox trying to go out and regain Vasquez, depending on what his market looks like. I can see Zanino for sure. Um, trying to think of, are there any other catchers on the free agent market? Contreras would be the absolute fantastic catch, but we can't. Not everyone on our team can be an all-star, you know. Good options for the Sox that you see as realistic, not attached to a qualifying offer. I'm gonna have to look at the list of qualifying offers again. Actually, there are a ton of people that didn't get a qualifying offer. Good options. I think Mitch Haniger's a good option. I think Tyler Rogers is a good option. Not attached to a qualifying offer. I'm trying to think of starting pitchers that wouldn't be attached to a qualifying offer. Maybe a Corey Kluber type. I'm not sure. Man, off the top of my head, it's kind of tough to think about free agents. There's just so many. Um, a lot of people actually signed, honestly. Oh, they took the qualifying offer in here too. Kershaw signed. Yeah, there aren't a ton of like fantastic picks here. Craig Kimbrell would be a really interesting one. I don't know if they'd want to bring him back though. Josh Bell's a really interesting pick if they want to have some options at DH because he can play the outfield. It's not fantastic, but he can play the outfield. Benintendi would be interesting. Andrew Heaney, who I believe didn't he sign an option? I can't remember. Or did he sign a contract? I can't remember. Wade Miley was an interesting one to take a look at. Did not do well last year, but maybe someone you could pick up on a 1-year deal. We need Judge. We don't need Judge. Does Downs have any value anymore? He does have some value for sure. It's not what it used to be. No way. Do we have a lot of money to spend this offseason? We have about $83 million before we hit the luxury tax, not including anything in terms of extensions or re-signing players already on our team. So, yeah, we do. Where does Ronaldo Hernandez stand as a catcher in our system? Not good defensively. Decent bat. Probably more of a depth piece player, Tony. Who do I see as the best possible outfield trio considering who is possible? Are you talking about just in general, like any player in baseball or on this Red Sox team? When am I going to get some Red Sox players for a Q&A for Red Seat Nation? Man, I would love to do that. I would. But there's a reason players don't do live Q&As because they get toasted. One. But I would love to get some Red Sox, but even Red Sox content creators on here. The problem I've been having, and this is a good place to vent because this will probably be the last thing we talk about. The reason I haven't been able to get anyone on here, and it hasn't been for lack of trying, I'll tell you that right now. It's because while on YouTube we're doing so well, we've grown this great community. On Twitter, not so much. On Instagram, I'm just terrible with Instagram. That's no one's fault but my own. So when I message these people, it's like they're thinking, oh look, like this, this guy with and not that, and I love every single one of my followers on Twitter and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm a Major League Baseball player, I'm doing interviews with verified people, with people who have some sort of following so my voice can be heard. And we have such a great community on YouTube that I would love to get some players on here to talk with you guys, some creators on here to talk with you guys. But I don't think any of them, I'm a little bit of a, people are overlooking me. Judge is the best possible choice. I think you could feel the team that's World Series ready without Aaron Judge. That's all I'm saying. That's awesome, Justin. How'd you do that? Am I the only one who thinks Abreu was pointless when we could just bring back JD for less and for however long we wanted? You also ready? Yeah, I agree. If we're gonna get a guy like that, we might as well go back with JD. I agree with that. Yeah. I'm going to Fenway to do a tour for my birthday and get to hit in the batting cage and go inside the Green Monster. That is awesome, Braden. Did I see the Red Sox made new offers to Bogaerts and Devers? Yeah, I saw that. We talked about that probably like an hour ago when it first broke. But yeah, it's fantastic. I love to see that they're actually trying. I hope that means they're actually trying. I guess we'll see, but. Do a podcast with Robbie Hyde. I'd love to do a podcast with Robbie. I think he's a really interesting guy. But yeah, I think he does have a legitimate podcast. He's working full time. I think he's a busy dude. That'll change. I sure hope it does, Jack. I would love to. It's not even about just like me wanting to meet these guys. It's about, being able to give you guys a different perspective on a lot of these players. I'm not even talking about major league ready guys. A lot of you guys are super interested in players that, are in the minor league system or are coming up. I get questions about them all the time. I would love for them to, not even just a live stream, because I think a live stream could kind of go bad depending on the kind of questions people ask. But just a sit down, have them come here and shoot the pardon my language. Actually, I'm not even gonna say the word. Shoot the crap with us or with me, and give you guys a different perspective on some of these players who are coming up to the Red Sox system. I'd love to do that for you guys, but we'll get there. I have faith. We'll get there. Connect with players in the minors; they're more likely to hit you back. But that's what I'm saying. That's who I'm contacting. Amen. I haven't contacted anyone in the majors because there's no way. There's no way they're gonna get back to me. But even guys in the minors are either verified on Twitter, so my messages they don't even see it, or if they're not verified, they've got 10,000 followers, and you know how it goes with trying to get interviews, right? They want to go to the biggest sources and get their voice to the most people, and so yeah, it's frustrating for sure. But we'll get there. I have faith. Just be patient. We'll get there. For now, you guys are stuck with me. You guys are stuck with me for now. I'm trying my best to make it as entertaining for you as possible. Hopefully it's going okay. How long until Nico Cavadas is ready for a shot? Probably 2 years. I would say 2 years. Depends. He'll probably spend some time in AAA. I would assume he would. I do one with Pat Light. I think he's a little preoccupied. While I'm there, I'm going to have a long chat with Mr. Chaim Bloom. Good luck. Good luck. Man, I didn't want to end that on a weird note, chat. I didn't want to end that on a weird note, but it's been about 2.5 hours. Not a ton of news. I don't see Kike staying long term now. I think he's gone after this year, Mustafa. But either way, I think we're gonna call it here, chat. That was a lot. You guys are absolutely fantastic. For this being the first ever off-season live stream and you guys to be this lively and this fantastic was absolutely awesome. I had a ton of fun with you guys. I think we're going to try and do these every other week. And then obviously if we get a message that the Red Sox are close to signing a deal with Xander Bogaerts or Devers or Judge or something crazy like that, we'll go live in anticipation of that too. So keep an eye out on the stream schedule. It'll probably be every other week from here on out. Just keep an eye on it. But thank you to everyone who stopped by. Jack, thank you for keeping an eye on the chat, making sure everything's going well. Always appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for everything. And maybe no video tomorrow. Depends on if we get any news.